She needed a date for New Year's Eve. Then, a billionaire stranger said, "Pretend it's me." Olivia Monroe stood outside Café Lumiere in downtown Manhattan, staring at her phone screen with mounting dread. The group chat with her college friends was blowing up, and every message made her stomach clench tighter. "Can't wait to see everyone tonight. 5 years since graduation, and we're all finally in the same city for NYE. Jessica, my boyfriend is so excited to meet you all. Liv, are you bringing that guy you mentioned? Sarah, Olivia, you're still coming, right? You said you had someone special to introduce us to." Amanda Olivia closed her eyes and resisted the urge to throw her phone into the street. There was no guy. There had never been a guy. 6 months ago, during a FaceTime call with her college friends, Olivia had made the catastrophic mistake of lying. They'd all been talking about their relationships, Jessica with her fiancé, Sarah with her new boyfriend, Amanda with her long-term partner, and Olivia had felt the familiar sting of being the perpetual single friend. So, when Jessica had asked, "What about you, Liv? Anyone special?" Olivia had smiled and said, "Actually, yes. Someone I've been seeing for a few months. It's getting serious." The lie had spiraled from there. Over the following months, she'd invented details about Daniel, his job in finance, his apartment in Brooklyn, his love of hiking. She'd made excuses for why he couldn't join their video calls, why he wasn't in any photos, why they hadn't met him yet. And then, 3 weeks ago, and Jessica had announced she was coming to New York for New Year's Eve, and they should all get together. The perfect opportunity, she'd said, for everyone to finally meet Olivia's mysterious boyfriend. Olivia had panicked and agreed before thinking it through. Now it was December 31st, 4 p.m., and she had 5 hours until she was supposed to show up at an upscale New Year's Eve party with a boyfriend who didn't exist. She'd spent the past 3 weeks trying to figure a way out. She'd considered faking an illness, claiming Daniel had a family emergency, even pretending they'd broken up. But every excuse felt transparent, and the truth was worse. Admitting she'd been lying for 6 months because she was too embarrassed to be the only single one. Before we continue with this story, I would like to know where you are watching from. Drop your country in the comments and what time you are watching this story. Make sure you like and subscribe if you are new to our channel so you don't miss the next fantastic story. At 27, Olivia had a successful career as a marketing director for a boutique firm, a great apartment in the West Village, and a solid friend group in the city. But her romantic life was a wasteland. Between 60-hour work weeks and the disaster that was New York dating, she hadn't had a serious relationship since college, and she'd been too proud to admit it. Now, standing in the cold December air watching couples walk by hand in hand, Olivia felt the full weight of her mistake. Her phone buzzed again. "Liv, you've been quiet. Everything okay?" "Amanda?" Olivia typed back quickly, "All good. See you tonight at 9. She had 5 hours to either come clean about the lie or find someone to play her fake boyfriend for the night. Option A would be humiliating. Option B felt impossible. Unless... Olivia's mind raced through possibilities. She could hire an actor, but where would she find one on New Year's Eve with 5 hours' notice? She could ask one of her guy friends, but they were all either in relationships or out of town for the holidays. She could download a dating app and explain the insane situation to a stranger, but that seemed like a recipe for disaster, or worse. She was out of options. Olivia pushed open the door to Café Lumiere, desperate for coffee and a quiet place to have a minor breakdown. The cafe was crowded with the pre-nuit rush, people grabbing lattes before heading home to prepare for parties, tourists seeking warmth from the cold, couples having intimate conversations over shared desserts. The sight of so many happy couples made Olivia want to scream. She ordered a large cappuccino and found an empty table in the corner, slumping into the chair and dropping her head into her hands. This was it. She'd have to come clean. She'd show up alone tonight, admit she'd been lying for months, and endure the pity and judgment from her friends. They'd exchange glances, they'd ask concerned questions about why she'd felt the need to lie, and she'd spend the evening explaining that, yes, she was fine. Really, being single was fine. She just didn't want to be seen as the pathetic friend who couldn't get a date. Rough day? Olivia looked up to find a man standing next to her table. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with dark hair styled in that effortlessly perfect way that suggested both money and a good. Barber. He wore a charcoal suit that was definitely custom-tailored, a crisp white shirt open at the collar, and the kind of watch that probably cost more than Olivia's rent. But what struck her were his eyes, a striking blue-gray that seemed to see right through her carefully constructed professional facade to the panicking mess underneath. "You could say that," Olivia said, trying to pull herself together. "Why? Because you look like someone who's about to face something terrible, and I recognize that expression." He gestured to the empty chair across from her. "Mind if I sit? All the other tables are taken." Olivia glanced around. He was right. The cafe had filled up even more in the past few minutes. "Sure." The man sat down, setting his own coffee on the table. Up close, Olivia could see he was probably in his early 30s, handsome in that sharp, polished way that screamed success and confidence. The kind of man who belonged in boardrooms and five-star restaurants, not crowded Manhattan cafes. "I'm Ethan," he said, extending his hand. "Olivia," she replied, shaking it. His grip was firm, warm, professional. They sat in silence for a moment, and Olivia expected him to pull out his phone or laptop like every other New Yorker would. Instead, he studied her with open curiosity. "So," Ethan said after a moment, "are you going to tell me what is you looking like you're preparing for battle, or should I guess?" "Why would I tell a complete stranger my problems?" Olivia asked, but there was no bite to it. She was too tired for that. "Because sometimes strangers are easier to talk to than people who know you," Ethan said simply. "No judgment, no history, no expectations. Plus, I'm genuinely curious, and I have about 30 minutes to kill before my next meeting." Olivia studied him. There was something disarming about his directness, about the way he seemed genuinely interested rather than just making conversation. And honestly, what did she have to lose? He was a stranger. She'd never see him again after today. "Okay," Olivia said, making a decision. "You want to hear about my monumentally stupid problem? Here it is. I lied to my college friends about having a boyfriend for 6 months. And tonight, we're all getting together for New Year's Eve, and they're expecting to meet him. Except, he doesn't exist. So I have approximately 5 hours to either come up with a believable excuse for why he can't make it, or show up alone and admit I've been lying like a pathetic loser for half a year." She'd said it all in one breath, and now she waited for Ethan's reaction, the judgment, the confused laughter, the slow backing away from the crazy woman. Instead, Ethan leaned back in his chair and said, "Why'd you lie in the first place?" The question caught Olivia off guard. "What? Why did you create a fake boyfriend? There has to be a reason." Olivia felt her defenses rise. "Does it matter?" "I think so," Ethan said. "People don't usually make up elaborate lies unless something's driving them to it. Embarrassment, pressure, fear of judgment. Something." Olivia stared at this stranger who'd somehow cut right to the heart of things. "All of the above," she admitted quietly. "My friends are all in serious relationships, engaged, moving in with people, talking about marriage and kids. And I'm just not. I work 80 hours a week. I go on maybe 2 dates a year that never go anywhere. And I'm tired of being the friend everyone feels sorry for. The one they try to set up with their boyfriend's weird cousin or their coworker, who's really nice once you get to know him. So when they asked if I was seeing anyone, I said yes, because I wanted just for once to be the person who had their life together instead of the person everyone worried about." She'd never said any of that out loud before, never admitted how much it bothered her, how much pressure she felt, how inadequate she felt watching everyone else build lives while she built a career. Ethan nodded slowly, like he understood completely. "And now you're facing the consequences of that lie." "In spectacular fashion," Olivia confirmed. "Tonight, at 9 p.m., at some fancy party in Tribeca, I get to choose between humiliation or more lies. Happy New Year to me." "What if there was a third option?" Ethan asked. Olivia raised an eyebrow. "Like what? Faking my own death? Moving to another country?" "Like showing up with an actual date," Ethan said calmly. "Someone to play the role of Daniel for the night. Someone who could make your lie retroactively true and save you from the humiliation." "Yeah, because I have a lineup of guys willing to pretend to be my boyfriend on 5 hours' notice," Olivia said sarcastically. "Plus, that's insane. That's like a plot from a bad romantic comedy. Maybe, Ethan agreed, but it would solve your problem. Even if I wanted to do something that crazy, where would I find someone? Everyone I know is either busy tonight or completely wrong for the part. I can't just... Olivia stopped mid-sentence, seeing the expression on Ethan's face. No, he couldn't possibly be suggesting. I'll do it, Ethan said. I'll be your fake boyfriend for the night. Olivia stared at him. You're joking. I'm not. You don't even know me. True, Ethan acknowledged. But I have two things going for me. One, I have no plans tonight, and I'd rather help a stranger in distress than spend New Year's Eve alone in my apartment. Two, I'm very good at playing roles when needed. Comes with the job. What job requires you to play roles? Olivia asked suspiciously. I'm the CEO of a company that deals with high-stakes negotiations and business development, Ethan said smoothly. Half my job is reading people and becoming whoever they need me to be in the moment. I can do polished and professional, charming and personable, whatever the situation requires. Olivia's mind was reeling. This is insane. You're a complete stranger, offering to crash my friend's party and pretend to be someone you're not. That's unconventional, Ethan supplied, but not malicious. Look, Olivia, you're clearly in a bind. You can show up alone and face the humiliation and endless questions, or you can show up with someone who'll play the part convincingly for a few hours and then disappear from your life forever. No strings, no obligations, just one person helping another avoid an uncomfortable situation. Why would you do this? Olivia asked, searching his face for the catch. What do you get out of it? Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, honestly, a distraction. The alternative is sitting in my apartment alone, watching the ball drop on TV while my ex-fiancée celebrates at some party with the guy she left me for. So, pretending to be someone's boyfriend at a party sounds significantly better than my current plan. The vulnerability in his admission made something in Olivia soften. He wasn't some weirdo looking to take advantage. He was someone facing his own lonely New Year's Eve, looking for a reason to get out of his head. You have an ex-fiancée, Olivia said. It wasn't a question. Had. Past tense. She ended it 3 months ago. Ethan's expression was carefully neutral, but Olivia saw the hurt beneath it. So tonight I get to see all my coupled-up friends posting photos while I sit alone eating takeout. Unless, of course, I help a woman in need while simultaneously giving myself something to do. Olivia bit her lip, turning the insane proposition over in her mind. It was crazy. It was the plot of a dozen romantic comedies she'd mocked. It was possibly the worst idea she'd ever seriously considered. But it was also a lifeline. If, and this is a big if, I agreed to this, Olivia said slowly, we'd need ground rules, a lot of ground rules. Name them, Ethan said immediately. First, this is strictly business. You play the role for the night, we part ways at midnight. And that's it. No expectations, no follow-up, no complications. Agreed. Second, you have to be convincing. These are people who've known me for years. If you can't sell it, we're both going to look like idiots. I can sell it, Ethan said confidently. Give me 30 minutes to learn your relationship backstory, and I'll have it down. Third, Olivia continued, if at any point this feels wrong or uncomfortable, we abort. I'll claim you had a work emergency, and I'll face the consequences. Deal? Deal, Ethan said, extending his hand. So, are we doing this? Olivia looked at his outstretched hand, at this stranger who was offering her an escape from her own stupid lie, and made a decision that would either save her from humiliation or create an even bigger disaster. She shook his hand. We're doing this. God help us both. They spent the next hour at a corner table in Café Lumière, building the fiction of their relationship. Okay, Olivia said, pulling out her phone and opening her notes app. We need our story straight. How did we meet? Through work, Ethan suggested. Your company hired my firm for a marketing consultation. We met during the initial pitch meeting. That works, Olivia said, typing rapidly. When was this? 6 months ago, late June. You were presenting to your boss, and I was impressed by your insights on consumer behavior in the luxury market. Olivia looked up. How do you know I work in luxury marketing? Ethan smiled. You're wearing a Burberry coat, carrying a Celine bag, and your phone case is from the Row. Either you work in luxury, or you have very expensive taste. Since you mentioned working 80 hours a week, I'm guessing the former. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. He was observant, unnervingly so. Fine, we met through work in June. What happened next? I asked you to coffee, Ethan continued smoothly. You said no at first because you don't date clients. I waited until the project was finished and asked again. You said, yes, first date was coffee at this very cafe, actually. Seemed fitting. Okay, I can work with that, Olivia said, impressed despite herself at how quickly he was building a narrative. First date in August. Where did we go for our second date? They spent the next 40 minutes constructing their fictional relationship. Dinner at a small Italian place in the West Village. A weekend trip to the Hamptons in September. Meeting each other's friends gradually over the fall. Quiet nights cooking together at Olivia's apartment. Conversations about the future, about whether they wanted marriage and kids, about building a life together. Ethan was good, really good, at creating believable details. He asked questions about Olivia's real life and wove them into their fake relationship seamlessly. He remembered every detail she told him and incorporated them into the story. Your favorite movie is The Princess Bride, Ethan said at one point. So for our 3-month anniversary, I surprised you with a special screening and quoted lines at you all night until you laughed. That's actually adorable, Olivia admitted. Where did you come up with that? You have a Princess Bride phone case, Ethan pointed out, and that's absolutely something I'd do for someone I cared about. Make note of small things they love and turn them into moments. Have you done this before? Olivia asked suspiciously. The fake relationship thing? No, Ethan said, but I've been in a real relationship that was pretty much performing for other people, so this isn't that different. Just more honest about the performance. There was something sad in that admission, but before Olivia could ask about it, her phone buzzed. Liv, just confirming you're still coming. Can't wait to meet Daniel. Jessica Olivia showed Ethan the message. Last chance to back out. Are you absolutely sure you want to do this? Ethan met her eyes steadily. I'm sure. Are you? Olivia took a breath. This was happening. She was really doing this. I'm sure. But Ethan, I need to know one more thing. What's that? What's your last name, in case someone asks? Cross, Ethan said. Ethan Cross. And what do you do exactly? You said CEO, but of what? Ethan hesitated for just a fraction of a second. Investment and venture capital. We help growing companies scale and connect startups with resources. It's not that interesting, honestly. Something in his tone suggested there was more to it, but Olivia didn't push. She had enough to worry about without interrogating her fake boyfriend about the details of his business. Okay, she said, standing up. I need to go home and change. The party starts at 8, dinner at 9. Dress code is cocktail attire. Can you do that? I can do that, Ethan confirmed, also standing. Text me the address. I'll meet you there at 8:30. Wait, Olivia said. We should arrive together. It'll look weird if we show up separately. Good point, Ethan said. Okay, I'll pick you up at your place. 8 p.m. That gives us time to run through the story one more time before we face your friends. Olivia nodded, her heart starting to race as the reality set in. She was really doing this. She was bringing a stranger to a party and passing him off as her boyfriend of 6 months. This was either going to work perfectly or blow up in her face spectacularly. Hey, Ethan said, touching her arm gently. We've got this. Trust me, I've negotiated multi-million-dollar deals with less preparation than we just did. A dinner party is going to be easy. Those multi-million-dollar deals probably didn't involve lying to your closest friends, Olivia pointed out. Fair, Ethan acknowledged, but the principle is the same. We have a goal, we have a strategy, and we execute. You'd be surprised how much of life is just confident performance. Is that what you do? Olivia asked. Perform? Something flickered in Ethan's expression. Something vulnerable and raw that was gone before Olivia could identify it. Most of the time, he said quietly. But tonight, I get to perform being happy, and honestly, that sounds better than being authentically miserable alone. Olivia felt her chest tighten with unexpected empathy for this stranger who was putting on a brave face while clearly dealing with his own pain. Thank you, she said softly, for doing this, for helping me. I know it's weird and crazy and probably a terrible idea, but thank you. Thank you for giving me something better to do than feel sorry for myself. Ethan replied with a small smile. Now, go home, get ready, and try not to panic. We're going to pull this off, I promise. Olivia nodded, gathered her things, and headed for the door. As she stepped out into the cold December air, she looked back through the window and saw Ethan still standing there, watching her with an unreadable expression. She'd just agreed to bring a complete stranger to a party and pass him off as her boyfriend. This was either the best decision she'd made all year or the worst. She had 4 hours to find out which. Olivia's apartment was in chaos. She'd been home for 90 minutes and still couldn't decide what to wear. Her bed was covered in rejected dresses, too formal, too casual, too revealing, too conservative. Her makeup was half done because she kept second-guessing whether the dramatic eye was too much or not enough. This is insane, she muttered to herself, holding up a navy dress and then immediately putting it back down. You're losing your mind over a fake date with a stranger. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. It's Ethan, just confirming your address, 47 Perry Street, Apt 4B. Olivia's heart jumped. She'd given him her address, a stranger. She'd invited a man she'd met 3 hours ago to pick her up at her apartment. What if he was a serial killer? What if this was all an elaborate setup? What if she forced herself to take a breath? Ethan Cross. She typed his name into Google. The results made her heart stop. Ethan Cross wasn't just a CEO of some investment firm. He was the Ethan Cross, founder and CEO of Cross Ventures, one of the most successful venture capital firms in the country, worth an estimated $2.3 billion. Featured in Forbes, Fortune, Business Insider, photos of him at charity galas, business conferences, shaking hands with tech moguls and political figures. Olivia stared at her phone screen in shock. A billionaire. She'd just made a fake boyfriend deal with an actual billionaire. And he'd sat across from her in a cafe, acting like he was just some regular guy with a broken heart and no New Year's Eve plans. Her phone buzzed again. Is that the right address? Olivia typed back quickly. Yes, that's right. See you at 8. She set down her phone, her mind racing. Why hadn't he told her who he was? Why had he presented himself as just Ethan, CEO of an investment firm, instead of Ethan Cross, billionaire venture capitalist? Maybe for the same reason. She'd lied about having a boyfriend, because sometimes the truth made things more complicated. Olivia looked at the clock. 6:47 p.m. She had just over an hour to pull herself together, look like someone a billionaire would date, and prepare to lie convincingly to her closest friends. She grabbed the emerald green dress she'd been avoiding because it felt too bold, and decided that bold was exactly what this situation required. If she was going to do this, she was going all in. At exactly 8 p.m., Olivia's intercom buzzed. She did one final check in the mirror. The emerald dress fit perfectly, hitting just above the knee and showing off the figure she usually hid under work clothes. Her hair was down in soft waves, her makeup was polished but not overdone, and she'd opted for her good jewelry, the pieces her mother had given her for her college graduation. She looked good, more than good. She looked like someone who had their life together. Too bad it was all a carefully constructed lie. Olivia pressed the intercom button. Come on up, 4th floor. She waited by her door, listening to footsteps on the stairs. When the knock came, she took one more deep breath and opened the door. Ethan Cross stood in her hallway in a perfectly tailored black suit with a dark blue tie that somehow made his eyes even more striking. He looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine spread, polished, confident, absolutely devastating. Hi, he said, and his smile was warm and genuine. Hi, Olivia managed. You look great. So do you, Ethan said, his eyes taking her in with clear appreciation. That dress is perfect. Thanks, Olivia said, grabbing her coat and clutch. Ready to do this? Ready, Ethan confirmed. But before they left, he said, Olivia, can I see your phone for a second? She handed it over, confused, and watched as he typed something and then handed it back. He'd added his contact information, full name, number, email. Just in case, he said. If anything feels wrong, tonight, if you need an out, text me the word abort, and I'll create an emergency that gets us out of there. No questions asked. The thoughtfulness of that gesture made Olivia's chest tighten. Thank you. Partners in crime need exit strategies, Ethan said with a small smile. Then he offered his arm. Shall we? Olivia linked her arm through his, and they headed down to the street where a sleek black car was waiting. Not a taxi or an Uber, but what looked like a private car service. "You really don't do anything halfway, do you?" Olivia murmured as Ethan opened the door for her. "Go big or go home," Ethan said. "That's always been my philosophy." As they settled into the back seat and the car pulled into Manhattan traffic, Olivia felt the full weight of what they were about to do settle over her. In less than 30 minutes, she'd be walking into that party with Ethan on her arm, introducing him as Daniel and hoping none of her friends noticed that she was perpetrating an elaborate fraud. "Hey," Ethan said softly, taking her hand. "You're tensing up. Breathe. We've got this." "How are you so calm?" Olivia asked. "Practice," Ethan said. "I've walked into hostile boardrooms, pitched to billionaires, negotiated with people who wanted to destroy my company. A dinner party is easy by comparison." "This is my life," Olivia said. "These are people I care about. If they figure out I'm lying—" "They won't," Ethan interrupted gently but firmly. "Because we're prepared, we're committed, and we're going to sell this so well, they'll have no reason to doubt it. Trust me, Olivia. Trust us." Olivia looked at their joined hands, at this stranger who was somehow making her feel calmer when she should feel more anxious. "Okay," she said. "I trust us. Let's go sell the lie of the century." The car wound through Manhattan streets decorated with lights and New Year's Eve excitement, carrying them toward either salvation or disaster. Olivia had no idea which, but at least she wasn't facing it alone. The party was being held at a rooftop venue in Tribeca, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered stunning views of the Manhattan skyline. As Olivia and Ethan stepped off the elevator into the softly lit space filled with well-dressed guests and champagne-fueled conversation, Olivia felt her anxiety spike. This was it. No turning back now. "Remember," Ethan murmured close to her ear, his hand warm on the small of her back. "We met in June at your office. First coffee date here in the city in August. 3-month anniversary with the Princess Bride screening. I'm head over heels for you, and you're cautiously optimistic about where we're headed." The casual confidence in his voice steadied her. "Right. You're Daniel. Finance professional, Brooklyn apartment, love of hiking." "Actually," Ethan said quietly, "let's stick closer to the truth. I'm Ethan, venture capital. I live in Tribeca, not Brooklyn. Easier to keep details straight. And I do actually like hiking, so that part's real." Olivia turned to look at him. "Why change it now?" "Because the best lies are built on truth," Ethan said. "The more real details we use, the more authentic we'll sound. Your friends will meet Ethan, not some fictional Daniel. If they Google me later, which they absolutely will, they'll find a real person with a real career who matches what you've told them." "But I told them Daniel," Olivia protested, "for 6 months." "So you'll say you were protecting my privacy," Ethan said smoothly. "You used a fake name until you knew where the relationship was going. That's actually pretty smart and cautious, which fits your personality. Your friends will understand." Before Olivia could respond, she heard a familiar squeal. "Olivia!" Jessica appeared through the crowd, blonde hair perfectly styled, wearing a red cocktail dress and the biggest smile. She threw her arms around Olivia in an enthusiastic hug. "You look amazing," Jessica gushed. "And you must be—" She turned to Ethan with obvious curiosity. "Ethan Cross," he said smoothly, extending his hand with a smile that could have charmed anyone. "It's great to finally meet you. Olivia's told me so much about you." "Wait, Ethan." Jessica looked between them, confused. "I thought your name was Daniel." "It is," Olivia said quickly, her heart racing. "Daniel's his middle name. I've been calling him that for privacy reasons, but his first name is Ethan. I probably should have clarified that earlier." She held her breath, waiting to see if Jessica would buy it. Jessica laughed. "Oh my God, Liv, you're so paranoid about privacy. I love it. Well, Ethan, it's wonderful to meet you. Come on, everyone's dying to finally meet Olivia's mysterious man." As Jessica led them through the party, Ethan's hand stayed firmly on Olivia's back, a gesture that looked protective and affectionate. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple completely comfortable with each other. "Nicely handled," Ethan murmured, so only Olivia could hear. "See, truth is easier." They approached a small group near the windows, Sarah with her boyfriend Mark and Amanda with her partner Chris. All eyes turned to them with undisguised curiosity. "Everyone," Jessica announced dramatically, "this is Ethan, Olivia's boyfriend." What followed was a blur of introductions, handshakes, and the kind of scrutiny Olivia had been dreading, but Ethan handled it all with remarkable ease. "So, Ethan, what do you do?" Mark asked, doing the typical guy assessment. "I run a venture capital firm," Ethan said casually. "We invest in early-stage tech companies, help them scale. It's challenging work, but rewarding when you see a startup you believed in become successful." "Cross Ventures?" Chris asked, his eyes widening. "Wait, you're that Ethan Cross? I read about your firm in Fortune last month. You backed that AI healthcare company that just went public." Ethan smiled modestly. "Guilty, though I can't take all the credit. We have an amazing team." Olivia felt her stomach drop. Of course Chris would know who he was. Chris worked in tech. Of course he'd recognize the name. But instead of suspicion, what she saw on her friends' faces was impressed surprise. "Liv, you've been holding out on us," Sarah said, elbowing her playfully. "Venture capital billionaire? Nice catch." "It's not about the money," Olivia said quickly, then realized how defensive that sounded. "I mean, obviously that's great, but that's not why I—" "What she means," Ethan interrupted smoothly, sliding his arm around her waist, "is that when we met, she had no idea who I was. She actually turned me down the first time I asked her out because she doesn't date clients. Took me 3 months to convince her I was worth the risk." The way he said it, with just the right mix of affection and self-deprecation, made it completely believable. Olivia saw her friend's expression soften. "That's so, Olivia," Amanda said fondly. "Always so. Professional? How did you finally convince her?" "Persistence and really good coffee," Ethan said with a grin. "I found out she goes to Café Lumière every Saturday morning, so I started showing up. Eventually, she agreed to let me buy her a cappuccino. The rest is history." "That's actually kind of romantic," Jessica said, clearly charmed. "Olivia, why didn't you tell us any of this?" "Because I wanted to make sure it was real before I said anything," Olivia said, which was perhaps the most honest thing she'd said all night. "You know how New York dating is. I didn't want to get everyone excited about someone who might not stick around." "But I did stick around," Ethan said softly, looking at her with such warmth that Olivia almost believed it herself. "Because she's worth sticking around for." The moment hung there, and Olivia saw her friends exchange glances, the kind that said they were buying every word of this. "Okay, you two are adorable," Sarah declared. "Come on, let's get drinks and you can tell us everything." The next hour was a masterclass in deception. Ethan was incredible. He answered questions about their relationship with easy confidence, weaving in details they'd created at the cafe while adding spontaneous embellishments that made everything feel more real. He told a story about their first official date, dinner at a small Italian place in the West Village where the waiter had spilled wine on his shirt and Olivia had laughed so hard she'd cried. "That's when I knew," Ethan said, looking at Olivia with those devastating blue-gray eyes. "When she didn't get embarrassed or upset about the scene, she just thought it was hilarious. That's when I realized she was different from anyone I dated before." "Different how?" Jessica asked, clearly invested in their story. "Most of the women I dated before cared more about image than authenticity," Ethan said. "They wanted to be seen at the right restaurants, photographed at the right events, but Olivia," he smiled, "she'd rather order takeout and watch old movies on her couch than go to some trendy opening. She values substance over appearance. That's rare." The irony of him praising her authenticity while they perpetrated an elaborate fraud wasn't lost on Olivia, but her friends were eating it up. "He's a keeper, Liv," Amanda said approvingly. "Don't let this one go." Throughout the evening, Ethan played his role perfectly. He kept his hand on Olivia's back or waist in that casually possessive way couples do. He brought her drinks without being asked. He knew how she took her wine, white, slightly sweet, because he'd paid attention at the cafe when she'd ordered. He laughed at her jokes and included her in conversations with an ease that suggested years of togetherness, not hours. And the touching. God, the touching felt so natural. At one point, standing by the windows looking at the city lights, Ethan had pulled Olivia back against his chest, his arms wrapped around her waist, his chin resting on top of her head. To anyone watching, they looked like lovers comfortable in each other's space. The problem was, it felt comfortable. Olivia found herself leaning into him, fitting against him like they'd done this 1,000 times before. His cologne, something expensive and subtle, became familiar. The warmth of his body against hers felt right in a way that made her distinctly uncomfortable, because none of this was real. "You okay?" Ethan murmured at one point, his breath warm against her ear. "Yeah," Olivia said softly. "You're really good at this." "So are you," Ethan replied. "We make a convincing couple." Too convincing, Olivia thought. That was the problem. Dinner was served at 9 p.m., an elaborate multi-course meal at elegantly set tables overlooking the city. Olivia and Ethan were seated with their college friends, and the conversation flowed easily, thanks largely to Ethan's ability to engage with everyone. He talked tech with Chris, discussed wedding planning with Jessica, who was getting married in the spring, and somehow managed to find common ground with Mark about basketball, despite Olivia knowing for a fact that Mark was insufferably obsessed with the Knicks. "I like him," Sarah whispered to Olivia when the men were debating whether the Knicks had any hope this season. "He's smart, successful, gorgeous, and clearly crazy about you. Where did you find him?" "I got lucky," Olivia said, which felt like the truth. Lucky that a billionaire had randomly offered to fake date her to save her from humiliation. What were the odds? "Does he have any single friends?" Sarah joked, for Amanda's sister. "She's been having the worst time with dating apps." "I'll ask," Olivia said, playing along while thinking this lie was getting deeper by the minute. Between the main course and dessert, Jessica stood and tapped her wine glass for attention. "I just want to say something," she announced to the table. 5 years ago, we graduated college with these big dreams about our lives. And look at us now. We're all here, we're all happy, we've all found our people." She raised her glass. "To friendship, to love, and to the future. Happy New Year, everyone." "To the future," everyone echoed, clinking glasses. Olivia clinked her glass against Ethan's, and he held her gaze for a moment that stretched too long. "To the future," he said softly, and something in his expression made Olivia's heart skip. "This isn't real," she reminded herself. "He's acting. You're acting. This is all performance." But God, it felt real. At 10:30, people started moving to the rooftop deck to watch the fireworks that would lead up to midnight. The temperature had dropped, and Olivia shivered in her dress despite the outdoor heaters positioned around the space. Without a word, Ethan shrugged off his suit jacket and draped it around her shoulders. "You'll be cold," Olivia protested. "I'm fine," Ethan said. "Besides, can't have my girlfriend freezing. On New Year's Eve." The word girlfriend in his voice did something to Olivia's insides that she absolutely could not afford to examine right now. They found a spot at the railing with a clear view of the city. The countdown to midnight had started on the screens inside, 90 minutes and counting. "You've been quiet," Ethan observed. "Everything okay?" "I'm just processing," Olivia admitted. "My friends completely believe this. They think we're actually together. They're going to have questions tomorrow, want to make double date plans, include you in our group chat. How am I supposed to handle that?" "We'll figure it out," Ethan said. "Maybe we date for a few more weeks and then have an amicable breakup. You can say the distance was too much or we wanted different things. Your friends will be disappointed, but they'll understand." "You've really thought this through," Olivia said. "I'm good at strategy," Ethan said with a slight smile. "It's kind of my thing." They stood in silence, for a moment, watching the city lights. Then Olivia asked, "Why did you really offer to do this? And don't say it was just because you were bored." Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Because I saw someone who needed help, and I had the ability to provide it. Because I'm tired of being the person who only makes calculated decisions based on profit and risk assessment. Because for once, I wanted to do something impulsive and potentially stupid just because it felt right." "And does it feel right?" Olivia asked. Ethan turned to look at her, and in the soft glow of the rooftop lights, his expression was unguarded. "Yeah, surprisingly it does." Before Olivia could respond, Jessica appeared beside them. "Sorry to interrupt," she said with a knowing smile. "But Olivia, can I steal you for a minute? Girl talk." Olivia glanced at Ethan, who nodded. "I'll be right here." Jessica pulled Olivia to a quieter corner of the deck, and her expression turned serious. "Okay, real talk," Jessica said. "Are you happy?" "What?" Olivia was caught off guard by the question. "With Ethan, with your life." Are you happy? Jessica studied her face. Because I know we've all been living in different cities, and we don't talk as much as we used to. But I need to know you're okay, Liv. You work so hard, you give so much to your career. I just want to make sure you're taking care of yourself too. Olivia felt emotion well up in her throat. This was why she'd lied in the first place. Because her friends cared, and she'd been too proud to admit she was lonely. I'm good, Olivia said, and realized it wasn't entirely a lie. Better than I've been in a while, actually. He seems great, Jessica said. Like, genuinely great. The way he looks at you, Liv, that's not fake. That man is in deep. Guilt twisted in Olivia's stomach. Jess. I know you're probably scared, Jessica interrupted. You've been single so long, you've been so focused on work. Letting someone in is terrifying. But Olivia, you deserve this. You deserve someone who shows up for you, who makes you a priority. Don't push him away because you're afraid, okay? Olivia nodded, not trusting herself to speak without confessing everything. Jessica hugged her. I'm so happy for you. Now get back to your man. It's almost midnight. The last hour before midnight passed in a blur. Olivia rejoined Ethan at the railing, and they stood watching the city together, while her friends laughed and celebrated around them. What did Jessica want? Ethan asked. To make sure I was happy, Olivia said. To tell me not to push you away. Good advice, Ethan said lightly. Are you going to take it? There's nothing to push away, Olivia said. This ends at midnight, remember? You go back to your life, I go back to mine. Right, Ethan said, but something in his tone suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. At 11:45, someone turned up the music and the crowd started getting excited for the countdown. Couples were gravitating toward each other, preparing for the midnight kiss. Olivia felt panic rising. We didn't discuss this part. What part? Ethan asked. The midnight kiss, Olivia said. Everyone's going to expect, we're supposed to be dating, so we should probably. But we don't have to if you don't want to. Olivia, Ethan interrupted gently. Do you want to kiss me? The question hung in the air between them. I don't know, Olivia admitted. This is all so confusing. None of this is real, but it feels real, and I don't know how to separate the performance from what you're actually feeling, Ethan finished. Olivia looked up at him, and in his expression she saw the same confusion, the same conflict. He felt it too, the unexpected connection, the chemistry that wasn't supposed to be part of the deal. Yeah, she whispered. The countdown started, 10 minutes to midnight. Here's what we're going to do, Ethan said. When midnight comes, I'm going to kiss you, because that's what your friends expect, and we're maintaining the illusion. But, Olivia, it's just part of the performance. It doesn't mean anything beyond that unless you want it to. And if I do want it to? Olivia asked, surprising herself with her honesty. Ethan's expression softened. Then we'll figure that out after midnight. One thing at a time. 5 minutes to midnight. The crowd was getting louder, the energy building. Someone handed out party hats and noisemakers. Jessica and her fiancé were already wrapped up in each other. Sarah and Mark were laughing at something on his phone. Amanda and Chris were dancing to the music. Everyone was with someone. Everyone was happy. And Olivia, standing with a man she'd met 8 hours ago, realized she was happy too. Confused and anxious and completely uncertain about what happened next, but happy. 2 minutes to midnight. Ethan took her hand, interlacing their fingers. Thank you for tonight, for letting me be part of this, for giving me something better to do than feel sorry for myself. Thank you for saving me from humiliation, Olivia said, and for being surprisingly good fake boyfriend material. Surprisingly? Ethan raised an eyebrow. I'll have you know, I'm excellent fake boyfriend material. Olivia laughed, and the sound felt genuine, unforced. 1 minute to midnight. The crowd started counting down. 60, 59, 58. Ethan pulled Olivia closer, one hand on her waist, the other still holding hers. They were standing face to face now, close enough that she could see the flecks of darker blue in his gray eyes. 30 seconds. Olivia, Ethan said softly, whatever happens after tonight, I want you to know. This wasn't what I expected. You weren't what I expected. What did you expect? Olivia asked, her heart racing. Someone who needed saving, Ethan said. But you're not that. You're strong and smart and so much more interesting than you give yourself credit for. Tonight's been... It was seconds. The crowd was roaring now, counting down in unison. Unexpected, Ethan finished. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Fireworks exploded over the city, and all around them, people were cheering and kissing and celebrating. But Olivia only saw Ethan as he lowered his head and kissed her. It was soft at first, tentative, like he was giving her the chance to pull away. But Olivia didn't pull away. She kissed him back, her hands coming up to rest on his chest, feeling his heart beating as fast as hers. The kiss deepened, and suddenly it wasn't soft anymore. It was urgent and real, and nothing like a performance. Ethan's hand tangled in her hair, and Olivia pressed closer, forgetting about the crowd, forgetting about her friends, forgetting about everything except this moment. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, the fireworks were still going off. But the real fireworks, Olivia thought dizzily, were happening right here between them. That was, Olivia started. Not fake, Ethan finished. That was definitely not fake. Before Olivia could respond, her friends surrounded them with cheers and hugs and New Year's wishes. The moment was broken, the spell interrupted. But as Ethan's hand found hers again in the chaos of celebration, Olivia knew something fundamental had shifted. This had started as a fake relationship, a performance to save her from embarrassment. But somewhere between the cafe and midnight, somewhere between the lies and the laughter, something real had begun, and Olivia had absolutely no idea what to do about it. The party continued for another hour, but Olivia was barely present. She went through the motions, laughing at jokes, responding to conversation, but her mind was stuck on that kiss, on the way Ethan had looked at her right before midnight, on the fact that nothing about tonight had felt fake. At 1:30 a.m., people started heading out. Olivia hugged her friends goodbye, accepted their compliments, about Ethan one more time, and promised to set up a double date soon, another lie to add to the pile. "He's perfect for you," Jessica whispered during their goodbye hug. "Don't let him go, Liv." If only she knew, Olivia thought. Ethan called his car, and they rode down the elevator in silence. The party was over. The performance was done. Now came the part where they went back to being strangers. Except Olivia didn't want that anymore. The car was waiting outside, and as they settled into the back seat, Olivia finally found her voice. "Thank you," she said, "for tonight, for everything. You were amazing." "So were you," Ethan said. "Your friends are great, by the way. I can see why you didn't want to disappoint them." The car started moving through the empty Manhattan streets. In a few minutes, they'd be at Olivia's apartment. Ethan would say goodbye, she'd get out, and that would be it. The thought made her chest ache. "Ethan," Olivia said softly, "about that kiss." "I know," Ethan interrupted. "It was part of the act. I shouldn't have—" "It didn't feel like part of the act," Olivia said. "Did it? To you?" Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "No, it didn't." "So, what do we do now?" Olivia asked. "I don't know," Ethan admitted. "This wasn't supposed to get complicated. We had a deal. One night, then we walk away." "I know what the deal was," Olivia said. "But what if I don't want to walk away?" The car pulled up in front of her building. The driver waited patiently while Ethan and Olivia sat in charged silence. "You don't even know me," Ethan said finally. "Not really. You know the version of me I performed tonight." "And you don't know me," Olivia countered. "You know the version who needed a fake boyfriend to avoid humiliation. But I'd like to get to know the real you, if you're interested." Ethan looked at her, and in the dim light from the street lamps, his expression was unreadable. "Olivia, I'm not good at this," he said quietly. "Relationships, real ones. My ex-fiancée left because I worked too much, cared too much about the business, never made her a priority, and she was right. I don't know how to balance a relationship with the demands of running a company. I don't want to start something with you just to disappoint you." "What if you don't disappoint me?" Olivia asked. "What if we just see where this goes without putting all this pressure on it?" "And how do we do that when your friends think we've been dating for 6 months?" Ethan pointed out. "We've built this entire fiction. How do we go back and start from the beginning?" "We don't," Olivia said, making a decision. "We tell them the truth. I come clean about the lie, explain what happened tonight, and if they're really my friends, they'll understand. It'll be embarrassing as hell, but at least it'll be honest. And then what? Ethan asked. And then we go on an actual first date, Olivia said. No lies, no performance, just two people getting to know each other. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility. Ethan studied her face for a long moment. Then he smiled. A real smile, not the polished one from the party, but something genuine and a little bit scared. Okay, he said, let's try possibility. Olivia felt her heart soar. Yeah? Yeah, Ethan confirmed. But Olivia, I need you to know something. Tonight wasn't just performance for me. Everything I said about you, about your authenticity, your strength, how you're different, that was real. You're not what I expected, and I'd like to find out who you really are beneath the professional facade. Same, Olivia said softly. I'd like to find out who Ethan Cross really is when he's not trying to be what everyone needs him to be. They sat there for another moment, both smiling, both terrified, both willing to take the risk. I should let you go, Ethan said finally. It's late. Yeah, Olivia agreed, but she didn't move. Olivia, Ethan said, his voice low. If I kiss you again right now, it won't be for show. It'll be because I want to. Are you okay with that? In answer, Olivia leaned forward and kissed him first. This kiss was different from midnight. Slower, deeper, full of promise instead of performance. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. Good night, Ethan, Olivia whispered. Good night, Olivia, Ethan replied. I'll text you tomorrow for that first date. Our second first date, Olivia said. This is getting complicated. The best things usually are, Ethan said. Olivia got out of the car and walked to her building, turning back to wave before going inside. Ethan waited until she was safely in before the car pulled away. Upstairs in her apartment, Olivia kicked off her heels and collapsed on her couch, her mind reeling. She'd started the day desperate and panicking, had agreed to a fake relationship with a stranger, had successfully deceived her closest friends, and had ended up with genuine feelings for a billionaire who'd offered to pretend to be her boyfriend. It was the plot of a romantic comedy. It was insane. It was also possibly the beginning of something real. Her phone buzzed with a text, made it home. Tonight was unexpected in the best way. Sleep well. Ethan Olivia smiled and typed back, Thank you for the best fake date I've ever had. Looking forward to our real one. She fell asleep still wearing the emerald dress, still wrapped in Ethan's jacket that smelled like his cologne, wondering how her life had taken this impossible turn. And for the first time in months, maybe years, she fell asleep happy. Olivia woke up on New Year's Day with a pounding headache, a heart full of confusion, and 17 text messages in the college friends group chat. Last night was perfect. So glad we're all back together. Jessica, Olivia, your boyfriend is literally the best. We need to double date ASAP. Sarah, Ethan was so great. You can tell he's completely in love with you. Amanda, group brunch. Next weekend? We need to hear all the details about how you two got together. Jessica. Olivia groaned and pulled a pillow over her face. This was exactly what she'd feared, the lie spiraling into more lies, expectations building, her friends getting invested in a relationship that technically didn't exist. Except now, it sort of did exist, kind of. Maybe. Her phone buzzed with a new text, this one from Ethan. Morning, how's the hangover? Want to grab coffee and debrief? Olivia smiled despite her pounding head and typed back, Yes. Café Lumiere in an hour? Perfect. See you there? Olivia dragged herself out of bed and into the shower, trying to organize her thoughts under the hot water. She had to tell her friends the truth. That was non-negotiable. The lie had already gone too far, and she couldn't keep building on it. But what was the truth exactly? That she'd lied about having a boyfriend and hired a stranger to play the part. That sounded worse when she said it out loud. That. She and Ethan had started as fake, but now had real feelings. That sounded like a rationalization. That she'd met someone unexpected and was giving it a chance. That was closest to the truth, but it required explaining the insane circumstances. There was no version of this truth that didn't make her look terrible. Olivia got dressed in jeans and a sweater, grabbed her coat, and headed out into the frigid New Year's Day morning. The streets were quiet, most of the city still sleeping off the previous night's celebrations. When she arrived at Café Lumiere, Ethan was already there, sitting at the same corner table where they'd met 24 hours ago. He wore dark jeans and a gray Henley under a leather jacket, looking unfairly good for someone who'd probably gotten as little sleep as she had. "Hey," he said, standing when he saw her. For a moment they both hesitated, unsure of the protocol. Were they hugging now, kissing, shaking hands? Ethan solved the problem by pulling her into a gentle hug, and Olivia let herself sink into it for a moment before pulling back. "Coffee?" Ethan asked. "God, yes," Olivia said. He returned a few minutes later with 2 cappuccinos. He'd remembered how she took hers, and they sat across from each other in the exact same configuration as yesterday, except everything was different. "So," Ethan said. "That happened." "That happened," Olivia agreed. "I woke up to approximately 1,000 messages from my friends about how perfect you are and how we need to schedule double dates." "I got a few messages too," Ethan admitted, "from my friends who follow me on social media. Apparently Jessica tagged us in about 15 photos from last night, and now people are asking questions." Olivia closed her eyes. "I didn't even think about photos. Oh God, this is getting worse." "Hey," Ethan said gently, reaching across to take her hand. "It's okay. We'll figure this out." "How?" Olivia asked. "I have to tell my friends the truth, Ethan. I can't keep lying to them. But how do I explain that I hired—" She stopped, realizing how that sounded. "You didn't hire me," Ethan said firmly. "I volunteered. There's a difference." "Is there? Because from the outside, it looks like I was so desperate to avoid embarrassment that I recruited a stranger to play my boyfriend. That's pathetic, Ethan. That's not who I am." "It's not pathetic," Ethan said. "It's human. You were in an impossible situation, and you found a creative solution. Yes, it was unconventional. Yes, it spiraled a bit. But your intentions weren't malicious. You just wanted to avoid being pitied by people you care about. And now those people think I have this perfect relationship that doesn't exist," Olivia said. "Except it does exist," Ethan pointed out. "Not the way they think, but something exists between us. Last night wasn't fake, Olivia. The kiss, the connection, that was real. So maybe the truth is just that we met recently, moved quickly, and you introduced me to your friends on what was essentially one of our first dates." Olivia thought about that. "You want me to just gloss over the fact that I've been lying for 6 months?" "No," Ethan said. "I think you need to be honest about that part. Tell them you felt pressured and made up a boyfriend because you were tired of being the single friend. Tell them that when you realized you'd backed yourself into a corner, you met someone, me, and things moved quickly. It's not the whole truth, but it's enough truth that you're not actively lying anymore." "But we met yesterday," Olivia protested. "How do I explain that?" "Do they need to know the exact timeline?" Ethan asked. "Olivia, I like you. You clearly feel something for me. We're both interested in seeing where this goes. Does it really matter if we met yesterday or 3 weeks ago? The feelings are real, regardless of when they developed." Olivia wanted to believe that. Wanted to believe she could thread this needle, admit to the lie, without revealing the full extent of the deception. "What if they find out the truth?" Olivia asked. "What if someone saw us at the cafe yesterday, or figures out the timeline doesn't add up?" "Then we'll deal with it," Ethan said. "But Olivia, you can't live your life afraid of every possible outcome. Sometimes you have to make a choice and trust that people will understand. Even when what I did was manipulative and wrong, what you did was self-protective," Ethan corrected gently. "Not wrong, just complicated. And for what it's worth, I don't think your friends are going to hate you for this. They'll be surprised, maybe hurt that you didn't feel like you could be honest, but they care about you. That doesn't just evaporate." Olivia took a sip of her coffee, turning his words over in her mind. "You're very good at putting a positive spin on things." "It's my job," Ethan said with a slight smile. "I sell visions of the future to investors. This isn't that different, helping. You see that this situation isn't as catastrophic as you think." "Is that what you're doing?" Olivia asked. "Selling me a vision?" "No," Ethan said, his expression turning serious. "I'm being honest with you, which is something I'm not usually great at. Olivia, I liked who I was when I was with you last night. Not the performance, but the moments in between. In the car, on the rooftop, at midnight. I liked the version of myself that showed up for someone else. I've spent the past 3 months since my engagement ended feeling like a failure at relationships. But last night reminded me that maybe I'm not. Maybe I just needed to meet the right person. Olivia's throat tightened. I'm not sure I'm the right person for a billionaire venture capitalist. Our lives are in completely different stratospheres. So were our lives yesterday when we were strangers, Ethan pointed out. That didn't stop us from connecting. Money and careers, those are just circumstances, Olivia. They're not insurmountable obstacles unless we make them that way. You say that like it's easy, Olivia said. But Ethan, you probably have a life I can't even imagine. Galas and board meetings and people who need things from you constantly. How would I fit into that? The same way I'd fit into your life, Ethan said. By choosing to. By making time for each other. By being honest about what we need and what we can give. Olivia, I'm not looking for someone to fit into my existing life. I'm looking for someone to build a new life with. Someone who sees me as Ethan, not as Ethan Cross, the billionaire CEO. But you are Ethan Cross, the billionaire CEO, Olivia said. That's reality. It's part of reality, Ethan agreed. But it's not all of me. Last night you saw other parts, the part that likes old movies and makes terrible jokes and gets nervous before meeting new people. That's real too, and I'd like you to get to know all of it. Olivia looked at him, really looked at him, at the hope in his eyes mixed with guardedness, at the way he was putting himself out there despite clearly being scared of rejection. Okay, she said softly. I want that too. But, Ethan, I need to be honest with my friends first. I need to come clean, deal with the consequences, and then we can figure out what this is between us. I can't build something real on a foundation of lies. I understand, Ethan said. When are you going to tell them? Today, Olivia decided. The longer I wait, the worse it gets. I'll call Jessica and tell her I need to talk to everyone. Do you want me there? Ethan asked. For moral support? Olivia considered it. No, I think I need to do this alone, but thank you for offering. They sat in silence for a moment, drinking their coffee. Then Ethan said, Olivia, whatever happens with your friends, I want you to know. I don't regret last night, any of it. Neither do I, Olivia admitted, even though it was insane and complicated and potentially going to blow up in my face. The best things usually are, Ethan said, echoing his words from the previous night. So what happens now? Now I face the consequences of my lie, Olivia said. And then, if my friends don't hate me, maybe we go on that real first date? I'll be waiting, Ethan said, however long it takes. Olivia called Jessica from her apartment an hour later, her heart hammering. Liv, how are you feeling? Last night was so fun. Jessica's enthusiasm made Olivia's guilt spike. Jess, I need to talk to you. And Sarah and Amanda. Can we do a video call? It's important. Jessica's tone shifted immediately. Is everything okay? Is it Ethan? It's complicated, Olivia said. Can you get everyone together, please? 30 minutes later, Olivia was staring at her laptop screen, showing 3 concerned faces in different cities. Okay, what's going on? Jessica asked. You're scaring us. Olivia took a deep breath. I need to tell you something, and I need you to let me get through it. Before you react, okay? All 3 women nodded, their expressions worried. I lied to you, Olivia began, her voice shaking. 6 months ago, when you asked if I was seeing anyone, I said yes, but there was no one. I made up a boyfriend because I was embarrassed to be the only single one, and I didn't want you all to pity me or worry about me. She watched their faces shift from confusion to understanding to hurt. I created this whole fiction. Daniel, the finance guy, the relationship, none of it was real. And when you said you wanted to meet him at New Year's, I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't keep up the lie, but I was too embarrassed to admit the truth. So last night, Sarah said slowly. Ethan? I met Ethan yesterday, Olivia admitted. At a cafe. I was having a breakdown about the situation, and he overheard me and offered to help. He agreed to pretend to be my boyfriend for the night, so I wouldn't have to face you all alone. The silence on the other end. AIM was deafening. You brought a stranger to the party? Amanda finally said. Olivia, that's insane, I know, Olivia interrupted. It was desperate and stupid, and I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I lied to you for 6 months. I'm sorry I didn't trust you enough to be honest. I'm sorry I was so wrapped up in my own insecurity that I manipulated you all. Why didn't you just tell us you were single? Jessica asked, and her voice was hurt. Liv, we wouldn't have judged you. We've all been single at different points. It's not a big deal. It felt like a big deal, Olivia said, tears streaming down her face now. Every time we talked, you all had updates about your relationships, engagements, moving in together, future plans, and I had nothing. Just work, which I know isn't nothing, but it felt like I was falling behind, like I was failing at life because I couldn't figure out the relationship part. Oh, Liv, Sarah said softly. We never meant to make you feel that way. I know, Olivia said. This is my issue, not yours. My insecurity, my mistake. And I understand if you're angry and disappointed and don't want to talk to me right now. I deserve that. The three women exchanged glances, that silent communication that came from years of friendship. We're not angry, Jessica said finally. We're hurt that you didn't feel like you could be honest with us, but we're not angry. Liv, you're allowed to struggle. You're allowed to feel insecure. You just don't have to lie about it. I know, Olivia whispered. I'm so sorry. But wait, Amanda said. What about Ethan? I mean, yes, you met him yesterday, but last night there was definitely chemistry there. That kiss at midnight wasn't acting. Olivia felt her face heat. That's the complicated part. We agreed it was just for one night, but then something happened, something real. And we're going to see each other again. Actually, date, not fake date. So you met a hot billionaire who agreed to be your fake boyfriend. And then you actually fell for each other, Sarah said. Liv, that's literally a romance novel plot. I know, Olivia said. It's insane, but I really like him, and he says he likes me, and we want to try, but I couldn't do that without coming clean with you first. Wait, he actually is a billionaire? Amanda asked. That part was real? That part was real, Olivia confirmed. Ethan Cross, CEO of Cross Ventures? That's all true. The only thing that was fake was our relationship history. Jessica was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Liv, I'm going to be really honest with you. What you did, lying to us for months, bringing a stranger to the party without telling us, that wasn't okay. It hurt. But I also understand why you did it. And the fact that you're coming clean now, that you're being honest even though it's hard, that means something. It means you're braver than you give yourself credit for, Sarah added. Most people would have just kept lying. You chose truth, even knowing we might be upset. Are you upset? Olivia asked quietly. A little, Amanda admitted. But mostly I'm worried about you. This thing with Ethan, it's very fast, Liv. You met him yesterday. Are you sure this is a good idea? No, Olivia said honestly. I'm not sure at all, but I like him, really like him. And I think he likes me. And we want to see if there's something real there. Then we support you, Jessica said firmly. But, Olivia, promise us something. Anything. No more lies, Jessica said. No more pretending to have it all together when you're struggling. We're your friends. We want to be there for the messy parts, not just the highlight reel. Deal? Deal, Olivia said, relief flooding through her. Thank you for understanding, for not hating me, for still being my friends even though I don't deserve it. You do deserve it, Sarah said. You made a mistake, you owned it, and you're fixing it. That's what matters. They talked for another 20. All minutes about the party, about Ethan, about Olivia's actual life versus the fiction she'd created. By the end, Olivia felt lighter than she had in months. When she finally closed her laptop, she texted Ethan immediately. I told them. They were hurt but understanding. We're okay. His response came seconds later. I'm proud of you. That took courage. How do you feel? Relieved, exhausted, ready for that real first date. Tomorrow night, I'll pick you up at 7. It's a date, a real one this time, the best kind. Olivia set down her phone and lay back on her couch, staring at her ceiling. She'd done it. She'd told the truth and survived. Her friendships were intact, if a little bruised. And now she had a date with Ethan Cross. A real date. With a man who'd seen her at her most desperate and vulnerable and had chosen to help her anyway. Who'd performed brilliantly as her fake boyfriend and then admitted he had real feelings. It was terrifying. It was exciting. It was completely unlike anything Olivia had experienced before, and she couldn't wait to see where it led. The next evening, Olivia stood in front of her closet having another minor crisis about what to wear. This was different from New Year's Eve. This wasn't about impressing her friends or looking like someone a billionaire would date. This was about being herself, her actual self, on a date with someone she genuinely liked. She settled on dark jeans, a soft cashmere sweater in deep blue, and heeled boots. Professional, but approachable. Put together, but not trying too hard. At exactly 7 p.m., her intercom buzzed. When she opened her apartment door, Ethan stood there in dark jeans and a navy button-down, looking nervous in a way that made him more human than the polished CEO from New Year's Eve. "Hi," he said. "Hi," Olivia replied. They stared at each other for a moment, and then both laughed at the awkwardness. "This is weird, right?" Olivia said. "We spent an entire evening pretending to know each other, and now we actually have to get to know each other." "So weird," Ethan agreed, "but also good weird. Ready?" "Ready," Olivia confirmed, grabbing her coat. Instead of the car service, Ethan had driven himself, in a surprisingly normal Tesla, not some supercar. "I was expecting something more flashy," Olivia said, as she slid into the passenger seat. "I saved the flashy car for impressing investors," Ethan said with a grin. "For actual dates, I prefer something I can actually park in the city." "So you're secretly practical underneath all that wealth?" Olivia teased. "Secretly, I'm blatantly practical," Ethan said. "I still clip coupons and comparison shop online. My CFO thinks it's hilarious." "A billionaire who clips coupons," Olivia mused. "That's actually kind of adorable." "See, you're learning real things about me already," Ethan said. "This date is going great." They drove to a small Italian restaurant in the West Village, the same one Ethan had mentioned in their fabricated relationship story. "You actually picked this place?" Olivia said as they pulled up. "I figured we should make at least one part of our story true," Ethan said. "Plus, I called ahead, and they have incredible pasta. I thought we could have the first date we would have had if we'd met under normal circumstances." Inside, the restaurant was cozy and intimate, with dim lighting and checkered tablecloths. They were seated at a corner table, and once they'd ordered wine and food, the real conversation began. "Okay," Olivia said. "Real talk. Tell me about your engagement, the one that ended 3 months ago." Ethan took a sip of wine, clearly gathering his thoughts. "Her name was Victoria. We met through work. She was a consultant hired by one of my portfolio companies. We dated for 2 years, got engaged last year. She was beautiful, intelligent, ambitious. On paper, we were perfect." "But," Olivia prompted. "But I wasn't present," Ethan admitted. "I was always working, always thinking about the next deal, the next meeting. Victoria wanted more time, more attention, more of me, and I couldn't give it to her, or wouldn't. I'm still not sure which." "What happened?" "She met someone else," Ethan said simply. "A doctor, someone with regular hours who came home for dinner and was emotionally available. She fell in love with him and ended things with me. Said I was married to my work and there wasn't room for her in my life." "That must have hurt," Olivia said softly. "It did," Ethan acknowledged. "But she wasn't wrong. I did put work first. I always have. It's what I know how to do. Building companies, making deals, creating value. That's my language. Relationships." He trailed off. "Are scary because you can't control the outcome," Olivia finished. "You can't negotiate feelings or strategize love." Ethan looked at her with surprise. "Exactly. How did you know that?" "Because I'm the same way," Olivia said. "I throw myself into work because it's predictable. I know if I put in the hours, deliver results, I'll succeed. But relationships, those require vulnerability and trust and accepting that sometimes you can do everything right and still get hurt. It's terrifying." "So why are you here?" Ethan asked. "On a date with someone you barely know, taking that risk?" "Because yesterday, when you offered to help me, you saw me at my most desperate and didn't judge. You stepped up when you had no reason to. And then, at midnight, when you kissed me, I felt something I haven't felt in years, possibility. Like maybe I could be the career-focused woman and also someone who's in a relationship. Like those things don't have to be mutually exclusive." "They don't," Ethan said. "But they're hard to balance. I failed at it once already." "So did I," Olivia admitted. "I had a boyfriend in college, thought we'd get married after graduation. But I got an amazing job offer in New York, and he wanted to stay in our hometown. He asked me to choose, and I chose my career. He Said I was selfish and incapable of putting anyone else first. That's not fair, Ethan said. Choosing your career doesn't make you selfish. Doesn't it, though? Olivia asked. When you consistently put work before people? When you cancel plans because something came up at the office? When you're physically present but mentally still solving work problems? That's not selfishness, Ethan said firmly. That's dedication. And yes, it needs balance, but it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you someone who cares deeply about what they do. Your ex-fiancé might disagree. My ex-fiancé wanted someone I wasn't capable of being at the time, Ethan said. Maybe I'm still not. But, Olivia, here's what I know. When I was with you on New Year's Eve, I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't strategizing or planning. I was just present, with you. And that's rare for me. So, what are you saying? Olivia asked. I'm saying maybe we're both workaholics who failed at relationships. Before, Ethan said. But maybe that means we actually understand each other better than people who don't have that drive. Maybe we can build something that accommodates both, the work we love and the relationship we want. Or maybe we're both too broken to make this work, Olivia said quietly. Maybe, Ethan agreed. But I'd rather try and fail than not try at all, wouldn't you? Olivia thought about it, really thought about it. She could walk away now, protect herself from potential hurt. Or she could take the risk, see where this unexpected connection led. Yes, she said finally, I'd rather try. Ethan smiled, that genuine smile that made his whole face light up. Good. Then let's try. No guarantees, no expectations, just two people figuring it out as they go. I can do that, Olivia said. Their food arrived, perfect pasta that lived up to Ethan's promise, and the conversation shifted to lighter topics. They talked about their favorite books. They both loved mysteries. Their most embarrassing moments, Ethan once pitched to investors with his fly down. Olivia once sent a very personal email to her entire department. Their dreams for the future. I want to start a foundation, Ethan admitted. Use some of my wealth to fund healthcare startups that focus on underserved communities. But it feels self-indulgent, like I'm trying to buy redemption for being too focused on profit. Or it's growth, Olivia suggested. Recognizing you have resources and wanting to use them for good. That's not self-indulgent, Ethan. That's evolved. What about you? Ethan asked. What's your dream? Honestly, I want to be creative director at my firm, Olivia said. Build campaigns that actually matter, that change how people think about brands. I want to create work I'm proud of, not just work that pays well. So why don't you? Ethan asked. Because I'm 27 and the youngest director they have. Everyone else has 10, 15 years more experience. I need to pay. My dues prove myself. Or you could bet on yourself, Ethan said. Take the risk. Push for what you want instead of waiting for permission. Says the billionaire who already risked everything and won, Olivia pointed out. I also almost lost everything multiple times, Ethan said. Had deals fall through, investors pull out. Competitors try to destroy me. Risk doesn't guarantee success, Olivia. But playing it safe guarantees you'll never know what you're capable of. They talked until the restaurant started closing, until they were the last table left and the staff was politely hovering. I should get you home, Ethan said finally, even though I don't want this to end. Neither do I, Olivia admitted. This was nice, really nice. So, we do this again? Ethan asked as they walked to his car. Definitely, Olivia said. But Ethan, I need you to know. I'm going to be a mess sometimes. I'm going to work late and cancel plans and be stressed about projects. I'm going to need space and probably be terrible at communicating when I'm overwhelmed. And I'm going to be traveling for deals and distracted during important conversations and probably fail at being emotionally available sometimes, Ethan said. We're both going to mess this up. That's guaranteed. The question is whether we're willing to keep trying anyway. I am, Olivia said. If you are. I am, Ethan confirmed. They drove back to Olivia's apartment in comfortable silence, hands linked across the console. When they pulled up outside her building, neither moved to leave. Thank you for tonight, Olivia said softly. For this actual date where we were actually ourselves. Thank you for giving me a chance, Ethan said, for seeing past the billionaire thing to whoever I am underneath. A coupon-clipping romantic who offers to help desperate strangers, Olivia said with a smile. That's who you are underneath. Ethan laughed. Is that your official assessment? It is, Olivia confirmed. And I like him. I like you. I like you too, Ethan said. So much. They leaned toward each other at the same time, meeting in the middle for a kiss that was soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. Good night, Ethan, Olivia whispered. Good night, Olivia, Ethan replied. I'll text you tomorrow. You better, Olivia said. She got out of the car and walked to her building, turning back to wave before going inside. Ethan waited, just like New Year's Eve, until she was safely inside. Upstairs, Olivia collapsed on her couch with a stupid smile on her face. She'd told the truth. She'd faced the consequences. And now she was dating someone who saw her completely, the ambitious, career-focused, occasionally messy version, and wanted her anyway. It was new. It was scary. It was completely uncertain. But for the first time in years, Olivia felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be, building something real with someone real. And whatever happened, next, she was ready for it. 3 weeks into dating Ethan Cross, Olivia learned that billionaires didn't actually have magical powers to make relationship challenges disappear. It started out well. They managed to see each other 4 times in the first 2 weeks. Dinner dates, a weekend brunch, one memorable evening when Ethan showed up at Olivia's apartment at 9 p.m. with takeout because she'd texted that she was working late and hadn't eaten. You didn't have to do this, Olivia had said, but she'd been absurdly touched by the gesture. I wanted to, Ethan had replied simply. Besides, you need to eat something other than coffee and stress. They'd sat on her couch eating Thai food and talking about their days. And it had felt easy and comfortable in a way that made Olivia think maybe they could actually make this work. But then reality set in. Ethan had back-to-back meetings that ran until 11 p.m. 3 nights in a row. Olivia had a major campaign launch that required 18-hour days for a week straight. They texted when they could, but full conversations became difficult. Planned dates got rescheduled, then rescheduled again. I'm sorry became the most common phrase in their text exchanges. Sorry, meeting ran late. Rain check on dinner. Sorry, client emergency. Can we push our weekend plans? Sorry, flying to San Francisco for a deal. Back Thursday maybe? Sorry, pitch got moved up. Working all weekend. It was everything Ethan's ex-fiancée had complained about. Everything Olivia's college boyfriend had said made her incapable of a relationship. And Olivia hated that they might have been right. The crisis came on a Wednesday in late January. Olivia had been working on the biggest pitch of her career, a luxury automotive client worth millions to her firm. If she landed it, she'd be in serious consideration for creative director. If she lost it, she'd be just another ambitious junior executive who couldn't close. She'd spent 6 weeks preparing. Research, mock-ups, strategy documents. She'd barely slept, had lived on coffee and adrenaline, and had canceled 3 dates with Ethan in the process. I'm sorry, she'd texted him the night before. Tomorrow is the pitch. Can we celebrate after? If it goes well? Of course. You're going to be amazing. I believe in you. That text had carried her through the final preparation. Someone believed in her. Someone was in her corner. The pitch was at 2 p.m. Olivia arrived at the conference room at 1:45, perfectly prepared, perfectly dressed, perfectly ready. Except when she opened her laptop to set up the presentation, the file was corrupted. 6 weeks of work, gone. Olivia felt the blood drain from her face. She had backups, of course she had backups, but they were on her office computer. She was in a conference room downtown at the client's offices with 15 minutes until the most important pitch of her career and no presentation. Problem? Her boss, Richard, asked, noticing her frozen expression. The file, it's corrupted. I have backups, but they're at the office. Richard's face went white. How long to get them? 30 minutes if traffic's good, maybe 45. We can't ask them to wait that long, Richard said. We'll look incompetent. I can present without slides, Olivia said desperately. I know the pitch by heart. Against 3 other agencies who will have full presentations? Olivia, we can't. Give me 10 minutes, Olivia interrupted. Please, let me try to fix this. She practically ran out of the conference room, pulled out her phone with shaking hands, and did the one thing she'd promised herself she wouldn't do. She called Ethan for help. He answered on the second ring. Olivia, I thought you were in your pitch. Was the file corrupted. Her voice was shaking. Ethan, I need help. Is there any way to recover a corrupted PowerPoint file? Any software? Any tech solution? Anything? How corrupted? Ethan asked, his voice immediately, shifting to problem-solving mode. I can't open it at all. Says the file is damaged. Email it to me, right now, and tell me what kind of laptop you're using. Olivia sent the file, gave him the laptop specs, and waited in an agonizing silence while she heard typing on his end. Okay, Ethan said, after what felt like an eternity, but was probably 90 seconds. I'm running a recovery program. Olivia, where are you right now? Specifically, Chambers Street, the client's office building. I'm 12 minutes away. I'm coming to you. Ethan, you don't have to. I'm already in the car, Ethan said. I'm bringing my laptop with recovery software. If your file can be saved, we'll save it. If not, we rebuild what we can in the time we have. Olivia, breathe. We've got this. We, Ethan confirmed. I didn't just invest in tech companies without learning tech. I can help. Now, go back in there, apologize for the delay, and tell them you need 15 more minutes. Be confident. Act like this is a minor technical hiccup, not a disaster. Okay, Olivia said, forcing herself to take a breath. Okay. She went back into the conference room, where Richard was making apologetic small talk with the clients. A severe-looking woman in her 50s and two younger men who looked distinctly unimpressed. I'm so sorry, Olivia said, channeling every ounce of confidence she could muster. Technical issue with the file. I have someone retrieving the backup right now. It'll be 15 minutes. In the meantime, let me give you some context on our approach. And then, without slides or notes, operating purely on adrenaline and 6 weeks of preparation, Olivia started pitching. She talked about their research into the luxury automotive market, about the demographic shifts they'd identified, about the emotional journey of purchasing a high-end vehicle. She was in the middle of explaining their proposed campaign strategy when the conference room door opened. Ethan walked in, carrying his laptop, dressed in a full suit like he'd come from a meeting, looking every inch the CEO billionaire. You're back up, he said smoothly to Olivia, then nodded politely to the clients. Apologies for the interruption. Technical emergencies are never fun. He set up his laptop, connected it to the screen, and within 60 seconds, Olivia's presentation appeared in perfect, uncorrupted glory. You're all set, Ethan said quietly to Olivia. Then, with a professional smile to the clients, sorry again for the delay. I'll let you get back to it. He left as quickly as he'd arrived, and Olivia stood there for a moment, stunned, before Richard cleared his throat meaningfully. Ms. Monroe, the severe woman said. The presentation? Right, Olivia said, shaking herself back to focus. Yes. As I was saying, she delivered the rest of the pitch flawlessly. The slides worked perfectly. The clients asked engaged questions. By the end, Olivia could tell they were impressed. We'll be in touch by end of week, the woman said, which in client speak meant they were seriously considering it. Outside the conference room, Richard pulled Olivia aside. That was close, he said. Too close. But you recovered well. Who was that man with the laptop? A friend, Olivia said. Someone who knows tech and could help. A friend who shows up in 15 minutes with proprietary recovery software, Richard said skeptically. Olivia, that was Ethan Cross. I've seen him at industry events. What's going on? We're dating, Olivia admitted. I called him in a panic and he helped. That's it. Richard studied her face. He's a good person to have in your corner, but Olivia, be careful. Dating someone that high profile, that wealthy, it can complicate things. I know, Olivia said. But she didn't know. Not really. She didn't know how much it would complicate things until later that evening. Olivia texted Ethan as soon as she left the building. Thank you. You saved me. I owe you. Everything. You don't owe me anything. How did the rest go? Really well. They're making a decision by Friday. Ethan, seriously, thank you. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't shown up. You would have figured it out. You always do. Dinner tonight? I want to hear everything. Yes, please. Your place or mine? Mine. I'll cook. You cook? I'm learning. It might be terrible, but I promise it'll be enthusiastic. Olivia smiled for the first time in hours. Can't wait. Ethan's penthouse was in a building so exclusive it had a doorman who knew her by name after 3 visits. The apartment itself was everything Olivia expected from a billionaire. Floor-to-ceiling windows with views of Central Park. Furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Art that was definitely original, and probably worth more than her annual salary. But tonight, when Ethan opened the door, he was in jeans and a t-shirt, his hair slightly messed up, and there was flour on his cheek. "You have flour on. Your face," Olivia said, laughing. "I'm baking bread," Ethan said proudly. "Well, attempting to bake bread. The jury's still out on whether it's edible." Inside, the kitchen was a disaster. Mixing bowls everywhere, ingredients scattered across the counter. Something that might have been dough rising under a towel. "You did this for me?" Olivia asked, touched beyond measure. "I figured after the day you had, you deserved homemade food," Ethan said. "Even if it's amateur homemade food. Plus, I'm making your favorite, chicken parmesan. I looked up a recipe." Olivia felt her eyes sting with unexpected tears. "Ethan, you really didn't have to." "I wanted to," Ethan interrupted gently. "Olivia, you've been working yourself into the ground for this pitch. The least I can do is feed you something other than takeout." "How did you know chicken parmesan is my favorite?" Olivia asked. "You mentioned it once," Ethan said. "A few weeks ago, when we were talking about comfort food. You said your mom made it every time you had a bad day growing up." He'd remembered. This man who had a billion-dollar company to run had remembered a throwaway comment about her favorite comfort food. Olivia crossed the kitchen and kissed him. Ethan responded immediately, pulling her close, and for a moment everything else fell away. The stress, the pitch, the complications. "Thank you," Olivia whispered against his lips. "For today, for tonight, for showing up when I needed you." "Always," Ethan said simply. "That's what partners do." Dinner was actually good. The chicken was slightly overdone, but the sentiment was perfect. They ate at Ethan's dining table overlooking the city, and Olivia told him the whole story of the pitch, the panic, the recovery. "You were amazing," Ethan said. "Walking in there and just starting to pitch without slides. That's confidence. That's knowing your work inside and out." "I was terrified," Olivia admitted, "but I kept hearing your voice saying, 'Breathe, we've got this.' It helped." "We do have this," Ethan said. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." "My boss recognized you," Olivia said. "He asked if we were dating." "And you said?" "Yes. Was that okay? I know we haven't really talked about how public we want to be." "It's more than okay," Ethan said. "Olivia, I'm not hiding you. I'm proud to be with you. If people know, they know." "Even though it might complicate things," Olivia asked. "You're high profile. There might be photographers, gossip sites, people who want to know everything about your personal life." "Let them look," Ethan said firmly. "I don't care about that. I care about you." It was exactly what Olivia needed to hear. But later, lying in Ethan's bed after they had made love and he'd fallen asleep beside her, she stared at the ceiling and wondered if either of them really understood what they were signing up for. Dating a billionaire meant living in a world she didn't know how to navigate. It meant scrutiny and judgment, and people making assumptions. But it also meant someone who showed up in 15 minutes when she called in a panic. Someone who learned to cook her favorite meal. Someone who remembered the small things. Olivia looked at Ethan sleeping beside her, his face relaxed, younger looking, without the CEO mask, and made a decision. Whatever complications came with dating him, he was worth it. They were worth it. The complications arrived Friday morning in the form of a tabloid article. Olivia was at her desk when her phone started blowing up with texts from friends, acquaintances, even people she hadn't talked to in years. "OMG, is this you?" With a link to a gossip site. Olivia clicked the link with a sense of dread. The headline read, "Billionaire Ethan Cross dating marketing executive inside his new romance." Below it were photos. Photos of them leaving his building. Photos from New Year's Eve that Jessica had posted and someone had found. Photos from their dinner date where, apparently, a photographer had been watching. The article was surprisingly not terrible. It focused on Ethan's eligible bachelor status, mentioned Olivia's career at her firm, and speculated about how they'd met. But it felt invasive. These were private moments now being consumed by strangers. Her phone rang. "Ethan, have you seen the article?" he asked, his voice tight. "Just read it," Olivia said. "I'm sorry. I didn't think—" "This isn't your fault," Ethan interrupted. "I should have warned you this might happen. Olivia, are you okay?" "I don't know," Olivia admitted. It's strange seeing our relationship dissected by strangers. They're making assumptions about how we met, why we're together. There's a comment section and people are... She stopped, not wanting to repeat some of the nastier comments suggesting she was a gold digger. Don't read the comments, Ethan said firmly. Never read the comments. Olivia, I'm going to call my PR team and have them kill this story. They can make it go away. Can they? Olivia asked. Or will that just make it bigger? Ethan was quiet. You're probably right. Trying to suppress it will just make people more interested. So what do? We ignore it, Ethan said. We live our lives and we don't give them anything else to write about. Olivia, I'm really sorry. I know this is invasive and uncomfortable, but I promise it'll die down. There'll be some other story next week. And if there isn't, Olivia asked, if every time we go out, someone's taking photos, if every aspect of our relationship becomes public property, then we'll deal with it together, Ethan said. But Olivia, if this is too much, if you want to step back, I'll understand. I won't like it, but I'll understand. Olivia thought about it. She could walk away now, protect her privacy, go back to being anonymous, or she could stay. Except that dating someone high profile came with scrutiny and trust that what they were building was worth it. I'm not walking away, Olivia said. But Ethan, we need to talk about boundaries, about what parts of our lives we keep private and what we're willing to share. Agreed, Ethan said. Tonight, we'll figure this out. Tonight, Olivia confirmed. She hung up and stared at her computer screen, where the article was still open. At the bottom was a photo of her and Ethan leaving his building, his arm around her shoulders, both of them smiling. They looked happy. They looked like a real couple. And despite the invasiveness, despite the comments and speculation, that part was true. That evening, Olivia and Ethan met at a quiet wine bar in the West Village, far from the trendy spots where photographers might lurk. I did some research today, Olivia said once they were settled in a corner booth, about what dating someone high profile means, about the scrutiny and the gossip and the constant attention. And, Ethan asked carefully, and it's a lot, Olivia admitted. But I also realized something. This is your reality. This is part of what dating you means. And I can either accept that and find ways to deal with it, or I can walk away. But I can't ask you to change who you are or hide your success just to make my life more comfortable. I would, though, Ethan said quietly. If it meant keeping you, I'd step back from the public eye, do fewer conferences, fewer interviews, make myself less visible. Ethan? No, Olivia said firmly. That's not sustainable. You'd resent me eventually, and I'd feel guilty. That's not how relationships work. Then what do? Ethan asked. We set boundaries, Olivia said. We decide what's public and what's private. We don't post about each other constantly on social media. We keep our intimate moments actually intimate. We accept that sometimes there'll be photos or articles, but we don't feed the beast by giving them more content. I can do that, Ethan said. What else? You have to tell me when work is going to consume you, Olivia said. I get it. You're running a company. There will be times when you're unavailable, but I need warning, not sudden cancellations or days of silence. Communication, even when you're busy. That's fair, Ethan agreed. And you need to tell me when you're overwhelmed with work, when you need space. I don't want to be the boyfriend who adds to your stress because I'm demanding attention you don't have to give. So, we communicate, Olivia summarized. We're honest about our limits. We accept each other's reality without trying to change it. And we trust each other, Ethan added. Trust that when I'm working late, it's because I have to, not because I'm avoiding you. Trust that when you need space, it's about your work, not about us. I can do that, Olivia said. Can you? I'm going to try, Ethan said honestly. Victoria used to accuse me of caring more about my company than her, and she was right at the time. But Olivia, you're different. This is different. I want to make this work. So do I, Olivia said. But we both have to actually put in the work, not just say we will, actually do it. They spent the next hour talking through logistics, how often they needed to see each other to feel connected, how they'd handle their demanding careers, what they needed from each other during stressful times. It wasn't romantic. It was practical and honest and maybe a little unromantic. But it was real, and real was what they needed. The following Wednesday, Olivia got the call. She'd landed the account. She was on the shortlist for creative director. She'd done it. The first person she called was Ethan. "I got it," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "I got the account. Richard just told me. The client chose us." "Olivia, that's incredible." Ethan's voice was warm with genuine pride. "I knew you would. You're brilliant." "I couldn't have done it without you," Olivia said. "If you hadn't shown up with that laptop, you would have found another way," Ethan interrupted. "That was all you, Olivia. Your strategy, your pitch, your talent. I just helped with a technical problem." "You did more than that," Olivia said softly. "You showed up when I needed you. You proved you're the kind of person who actually follows through." "Always," Ethan said. "Olivia, we need to celebrate, properly. Let me take you somewhere special this weekend." "Where?" Olivia asked, curious. "Trust me," Ethan said. "Just pack a bag for 2 nights and be ready Saturday morning. I'm planning something." "Ethan Cross, are you being spontaneous?" Olivia teased. "I'm learning from the best," Ethan replied. "The woman who agreed to bring a stranger to a party on 5 hours' notice. That takes spontaneity." Olivia laughed. "Fair point. Okay, I'm in. Surprise me." Saturday morning, Ethan picked her up at 7 a.m. Olivia had packed light, jeans, sweaters, one nice dress just in case, and was curious about where they were going. "Airport," Ethan said when she asked. "That's all you get for now." At the private terminal, because of course Ethan had access to private aviation, Olivia finally understood the scope of his world, the wealth she'd intellectually known about but hadn't fully processed. "We're taking a private plane?" she asked as they boarded. "It's chartered, not mine," Ethan said, like that made it more reasonable. "And before you protest, I do this for business all the time. Using it for personal travel isn't that different." "Ethan, this is—" Olivia struggled for words. "This is a lot." "It's efficient," Ethan corrected. "We'd waste half the weekend in airports and security lines otherwise. This way, we have 2 full days wherever we're going." "And where are we going?" Olivia asked. Ethan smiled. "You'll see." 2 hours later, they landed in Vermont. Ethan had rented a cabin in the mountains, rustic but luxurious, with a stone fireplace, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking snow-covered peaks, and a peace that felt like another world from Manhattan. "What is this place?" Olivia asked, turning in a slow circle in the living room. "A place where we can just be us," Ethan said. "No photographers, no work emergencies, no distractions. Just you and me for 48 hours. It was exactly what Olivia needed, what they both needed. They spent the weekend cooking together, hiking through snow-covered forests, sitting by the fire talking about everything and nothing. Ethan told her about his childhood, growing up middle class in New Jersey, his mother working 2 jobs to put him through college, starting his company with $10,000 in student loans. "I didn't come from money," he said. "I built it, and sometimes I still feel like an imposter in the world I've entered, like someone's going to figure out I'm just a kid from Jersey who got lucky." "You didn't get lucky," Olivia said firmly. "You worked your ass off. You earned everything you have." "So did you," Ethan pointed out. "But you still doubt yourself. I've seen it. The way you apologize for taking up space. The way you're surprised when people recognize your talent. Olivia, you're exceptional. When are you going to start believing that?" "When are you?" Olivia countered. They stared at each other, and then both laughed at the absurdity. 2 successful people struggling with imposter syndrome, despite all evidence to the contrary. "We're a mess," Olivia said. "We're human," Ethan corrected. "And we're figuring it out together." That night, lying in bed with Ethan's arms around her and the sound of wind through the pines outside, Olivia felt something shift. This wasn't just dating anymore. This wasn't just seeing where things went. This was real. This was partnership. This was love, even if neither of them had said the words yet. "Ethan," Olivia said softly into the darkness. "Yeah? Thank you for this. For understanding what I needed even before I knew I needed it." "You're welcome," Ethan murmured against her hair. "Though fair. Warning, this is now going to be my solution to everything. Stressful week, Vermont. Fight, Vermont. Tuesday, Vermont." Olivia laughed. "I can think of worse solutions." They fell asleep like that, tangled together, warm and safe and exactly where they wanted to be. And for the first time since New Year's Eve, Olivia wasn't scared of what came next. She was ready for it. Whatever it was, they'd face it together. The dream job offer came on a Tuesday in early March, exactly 2 months after Olivia had landed the automotive account. She was in her office reviewing creative briefs when Richard knocked on her door, his expression unusually serious. "Olivia, do you have a minute? There's something we need to discuss." Her first thought was that she'd done something wrong. Her second was that maybe, just maybe, this was about the creative director position. Richard closed the door and sat down. "I'm going to cut right to it. You've been doing exceptional work. The automotive account was a major win, and the client is already talking about expanding the partnership. You've proven you can handle high-pressure situations and deliver results." "Thank you," Olivia said carefully, trying not to get her hopes up. "Which is why I want you to consider something," Richard continued. "We're opening a new office, London. It'll focus on luxury brands and European markets. We need someone to run it, someone with your instincts, your work ethic, your vision. Olivia, we want you to be our creative director for the London office." The words hit her like a physical force. Creative director. London. Everything she'd been working toward, packaged in an offer that was simultaneously perfect and impossible. "London," Olivia repeated faintly. "As in London, England." "As in relocating for a minimum of 3 years," Richard said. "You'd build the office from the ground up, hire your own team, have complete creative autonomy. It's a massive opportunity, Olivia, the kind most people don't get until they're 20 years into their career." "When would this start?" Olivia asked, her mind racing. "June. 3 months to wrap up your current projects, hire and train your replacement, and relocate. I know it's fast, but the London office is already in the works. We need someone there by summer." "Can I think about it?" Olivia asked. "Of course," Richard said. "But Olivia, opportunities like this don't come around often. If you say no, we'll offer it to someone else, and that person will get the career trajectory you've been working toward." After Richard left, Olivia sat at her desk in stunned silence. London, creative director, the job of her dreams, and Ethan, who lived in New York, whose entire company, his entire life, was based in Manhattan. She pulled out her phone to call him, then stopped. This wasn't a phone conversation. This was too important. "Can I come over tonight? We need to talk about something." Olivia Ethan's response was immediate. "Of course. Everything okay?" "I don't know yet." Ethan opened his apartment door that evening and immediately knew something was wrong. Olivia's expression was strained, and she was clutching a folder like it was a lifeline. "What happened?" he asked, ushering her inside. "I got offered a promotion," Olivia said. "Creative director." "That's amazing," Ethan said, pulling her into a hug. "Olivia, that's what you've been working for. Congratulations." "It's in London," Olivia said quietly. "I'd have to move for at least 3 years." Ethan froze. Then he pulled back to look at her face. "London, as in—" "England," Olivia confirmed. "They're opening a new office. They want me to run it. I'd leave in June." The silence that followed was heavy with everything they weren't saying. "Wow," Ethan finally said. That's huge." "It's my dream job," Olivia said, her voice breaking. "Everything I've been working toward. Creative director before I'm 30, my own office, complete autonomy. It's perfect." "But," Ethan prompted gently. "But you're here," Olivia said, tears spilling over. "And we're here. And I don't know how to choose between the career I've sacrificed everything for and the relationship I never expected to find." Ethan led her to the couch and they sat down, Olivia still clutching the folder with the job details she hadn't even shown him yet. "Tell me about the offer," Ethan said. "Everything." Olivia opened the folder and walked him through it. The salary, significantly more than she made now. The title, the responsibilities, the opportunity to build something from scratch, to prove herself on an international stage. "It's incredible," Ethan said when she finished. "Olivia, this is the kind of opportunity people dream about." "I know," Olivia whispered. "But we just started," Ethan finished. "We're still figuring this out. And long distance for 3 years." He trailed off. "Would probably kill us," Olivia said bluntly. "You saw what happened when we were both just busy in the same city. How would we survive being in different time zones, different continents?" "People do long distance," Ethan said, but he didn't sound convinced. "Do billionaire CEOs do long distance?" Olivia asked. Can you take off every weekend to fly to London? Can I afford to fly back constantly on my salary? Ethan, be realistic. I could fly you back, Ethan said. First class whenever you want. Money isn't an issue. Money is always an issue, Olivia countered, because it would make me dependent on you. And what happens when your schedule is packed? When I can't take time off? When we go weeks without seeing each other and start growing apart? So, what are you saying? Ethan asked, his voice tight. That you're choosing the job? I'm saying I don't know how to make this choice, Olivia said, fresh tears falling. My college boyfriend asked me to choose between my career and our relationship. I chose my career, and he called me selfish and incapable of love. And he was right, Ethan. I put my ambition first then, and I'd be putting it first now. That's not the same thing, Ethan said firmly. Your ex wanted you to give up your dreams for him. This is different. This is you having to choose between two things that both matter to you. Is it? Olivia asked. Because from where I'm sitting, it feels exactly the same. I'm being asked to sacrifice something important, and I'm going to pick my career, again, because that's who I am. Then pick your career, Ethan said, and his voice was gentle despite the pain in his eyes. Olivia, I'm not going to ask you to stay. I'm not going to ask you to give up this opportunity for me. That's not love. That's control. If this is your dream, you should chase it. Even if it means losing you, Olivia whispered. Ethan took her hands, holding them tightly. I don't want to lose you, but I also don't want to be the reason you don't become everything you're capable of becoming. You've worked your entire adult life for this. You've sacrificed and struggled and proved yourself over and over. You deserve this, Olivia. You deserve to take the opportunity. And what about us? We'll figure it out, Ethan said, though his voice wavered. Maybe long distance can work, or maybe... He stopped, unable to finish. Maybe this is where our story ends, Olivia finished. 3 months after it started, the fake boyfriend becomes the real boyfriend becomes the ex-boyfriend. Full circle. Don't, Ethan said, his voice breaking. Don't make this sound inevitable. We have 3 months before you leave. Maybe in 3 months we'll feel differently. Maybe we'll have a plan. Or maybe we'll just be prolonging the inevitable, Olivia said, making it hurt more when I finally leave. They sat in silence, both crying now, both holding on to each other like they could stop time if they just held on tight enough. I don't want to lose you, Olivia whispered. I don't want to lose you either, Ethan said, but I also don't want you to resent me for holding you back. So, Olivia, I'm going to say this once, and I need you to hear me. Take the job. Go to London. Build your empire. Become the creative director you're meant to be. And if we're meant to find our way back to each other, we will. And if we're not, Olivia asked, then at least we'll both know we didn't compromise our dreams for a relationship that might not have lasted anyway, Ethan said. It was the most pragmatic, most heartbreaking thing he could have said, because he was right, and Olivia hated that he was right. She accepted the job the next morning. Richard was thrilled. Her colleagues congratulated her. Her friends from college sent excited messages about visiting her in London. And Olivia felt like she was walking through a dream. Or a nightmare. She couldn't tell which. She and Ethan didn't break up. They also didn't talk about the future. They existed in a strange limbo where they were together, but both knew it was temporary. The joy had gone out of it. Every date felt bittersweet. Every "I'll see you tomorrow" came with the unspoken knowledge that their tomorrows were numbered. 2 weeks after accepting the job, Olivia was having coffee with Jessica, who was in town for wedding planning meetings. So London, Jessica said carefully. That's huge. How are you feeling? Excited, terrified, like I'm making the biggest mistake of my life, Olivia admitted. What does Ethan think? He told me to take it, said he didn't want to hold me back. Jessica studied her face. But I think we both know long distance won't work, Olivia said quietly. We're barely managing same-city dating. How are we supposed to survive different continents? So, you're breaking up? Eventually? We just haven't said it out loud yet. Olivia felt tears sting her eyes. Jess, I finally met someone who sees me, who supports me, who makes me want to be better. And I'm choosing my career over him. What does that say about me? That you're human, Jessica said gently. Olivia, you can love someone and still choose yourself. That's not selfish. That's self-preservation. My ex said I was incapable of putting anyone before myself, Olivia said. He said I'd always choose ambition over love, and he was right. I'm doing it again. Your ex was an asshole who wanted you to shrink yourself to make him feel bigger, Jessica said firmly. This is different. This is you choosing between two good things, a relationship you care about and a career you've earned. There's no wrong answer here, Liv, just hard choices. Then why does it feel like I'm making the wrong one? Olivia whispered. Jessica reached across the table and took her hand. Because love is hard to walk away from, even when it's the right decision for you. But, Olivia, you're 27. This is your chance to build the career you want. You can't give that up for a relationship that's only 3 months old? No. Matter how much you care about him. Olivia knew Jessica was right, but knowing it didn't make it hurt less. A month before Olivia's departure, Ethan's ex-fiancée got married. He found out through social media, photos of Victoria in a white dress, smiling at the camera with her doctor husband, looking radiant and happy. Olivia found Ethan that evening, sitting on his balcony, staring out at the city with a whiskey in his hand. I saw the photos, Olivia said softly, sitting beside him. She looks happy, Ethan said. He probably comes home for dinner every night, probably listens when she talks about her day, probably doesn't cancel plans constantly because of work emergencies. Probably isn't you, Olivia said. That's the point, Ethan said. She found someone better suited for her. Someone who could give her what she needed. And what about what you needed? Olivia asked. I needed to be successful, Ethan said. I needed to prove I could build something meaningful. I needed to be enough. He laughed bitterly. And I did all that. I built a billion-dollar company. I'm successful by every objective measure. But I'm sitting here alone, watching my ex get married, while the woman I love is leaving in a month. And I can't help thinking that maybe I focused on the wrong things. You didn't, Olivia said firmly. Ethan, you built something incredible. You've helped hundreds of companies succeed. You've created jobs, changed lives, made a real impact. That matters. Does it? Ethan asked. Because right now it feels pretty meaningless. They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Olivia said, I've been thinking about something. What's that? You could come with me, Olivia said. To London. I know it's crazy, but you can work from anywhere. You have people who can run the New York office. You could open a London branch of Cross Ventures. We could build our lives there together. Ethan turned to look at her, hope and hesitation warring in his expression. Olivia, I know it's a lot, she continued. I know it's fast, but we're good together, Ethan. When we're not self-sabotaging with work and distance and fear, what if we just went all in? What if we bet on us? I can't, Ethan said quietly. The words hit Olivia like a physical blow. What? I can't uproot my entire life and company on a 3-month relationship, Ethan said, and his voice was full of regret. Olivia, I care about you, but asking me to move to another country, to disrupt everything I've built, I can't do that. Not yet. Maybe if we'd been together longer, if we were more established, but we're not. We're still figuring out what this is. So that's it? Olivia said, anger mixing with hurt. You told me to take the job, you said we'd figure it out, but you won't actually do anything to make it work? That's not fair, Ethan said. Isn't it? Olivia stood up, pacing the balcony. You're asking me to choose between you and my career, but you won't consider adjusting your life for me. How is that equal partnership? Because you're the one who got the offer, Ethan said, frustration creeping into his voice. You're the one choosing to leave. I'm not asking you to stay. I'm being supportive. But I can't rearrange my entire existence because you got a job offer in another country. So what am I supposed to do? Olivia asked. Turn down my dream job to stay with a boyfriend I've been dating for 3 months? That's insane. I know. Ethan stood up too. That's what I've been saying. This situation is impossible, Olivia. There's no good answer. Then maybe we should just end this now, Olivia said, tears streaming down her face. Why are we prolonging the inevitable? Let's just rip off the Band-Aid and stop pretending this is going to work. Is that what you want? Ethan asked. No, Olivia said. But I don't see another option. We can't do long distance. You won't move. I'm not staying. So where does that leave us? Stuck, Ethan said, quietly. It leaves us stuck. They stared at each other, both crying, both angry, both heartbroken. I should go, Olivia finally said. Olivia, wait. No, she interrupted. We need space. We need to think about this without the emotion. I'll talk to you later. She left before Ethan could argue, and spent the night at her apartment crying into her pillow and wondering how she'd managed to fall in love with someone at exactly the wrong time in her life. They didn't speak for 3 days. It was the longest they'd gone without contact since New Year's Eve, and Olivia felt the absence like a missing limb. She threw herself into work, preparing for the London move. She hired her replacement, trained them on her accounts, started packing her apartment. She was going. This was happening. With or without Ethan, her life was moving forward. But God, she wanted it to be with him. On the 4th day, Olivia's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Ms. Monroe? This is Patricia Chen. I'm Ethan Cross's attorney. Olivia's heart stopped. Is Ethan okay? He's fine, Patricia said, but I'm calling because he's asked me to handle something on his behalf. Ms. Monroe, could you come to my office this afternoon? There's a legal matter we need to discuss regarding your relationship with Mr. Cross. Legal matter regarding their relationship? Olivia's mind raced through terrible possibilities. Was he suing her for something? Had she signed something at some point? What is this about? Olivia asked carefully. I'd prefer to discuss it in person, Patricia said. Can you come at 3 p.m.? Yes, Olivia said, though every instinct was screaming at her to refuse. 3 hours later, Olivia sat in a glass-walled conference room in a Manhattan high-rise, facing Patricia Chen across an expensive table. Thank you for coming, Patricia said, sliding a folder across the table. What I'm about to show you is confidential. Mr. Cross has asked me to present you with an option and to make clear that there are no strings attached and no expectations. Olivia opened the folder with shaking hands. Inside was a contract, and as she read, her eyes widened. It was an employment contract with Cross Ventures for a newly created position, Director of Marketing and Brand Strategy, London office. The salary was triple what her current firm was offering. The benefits were incredible. The position reported directly to Ethan, but had complete autonomy over European marketing strategy. And at the bottom was a personal note in Ethan's handwriting. Olivia, this isn't me asking you to give up your dream. This is me trying to make it possible for you to have everything. The career, the opportunity, and us. Cross Ventures is opening a London office whether you take this job or not. I've been planning it for months, but accelerated the timeline. I want you to run our marketing, but only if that's what you want. Not because you feel obligated, not because of us, because it's the right career move for you. If it's not, take the other job and I'll support you completely. But if you want this, it's yours. No strings, just possibility. Olivia stared at the contract, at Ethan's note, and felt her world tilt. He was opening a London office, for her. No, because of her, but not requiring her, giving her a choice, an option she hadn't had before. I don't understand, Olivia said faintly. Mr. Cross has been considering European expansion for some time, Patricia explained. Your situation accelerated the timeline. He's making you this offer in good faith, Ms. Monroe. If you accept, you'll be an employee of Cross Ventures with all the protections and benefits that entails. If your relationship ends, the job remains. If you choose not to take it, the offer stands. He'll find someone else for the position. This is genuinely no strings attached. Why would he do this? Olivia asked. Because he loves you, Patricia said simply. And because he's learned that sometimes. The best business decisions come from personal motivations. Having you run his London marketing is smart business. The fact that it also means you'll be in the same city is a bonus. Olivia looked at the contract again, at the salary, the title, the possibilities. It was everything, her dream role, the international opportunity, and Ethan. Can I think about it? Olivia asked. Of course, Patricia said. Mr. Cross said you'd need time, but Ms. Monroe, he asked me to tell you something else. What's that? That he's moving to London regardless of your decision. Cross Ventures is opening that office. He'll be splitting his time between New York and London for the next few years. So, even if you take the other job, you'll both be in the same city. He's not asking you to choose between your career and your relationship anymore. He's choosing both, and he's giving you the same option. Olivia found Ethan at Café Lumière. Of course he was there, the place where they'd met, where he'd offered to be her fake boyfriend, where their entire improbable story had started. He looked up when she walked in, hope and fear mingling in his expression. "Hi," Olivia said, sliding into the seat across from him. "Hi," Ethan replied. "Patricia called, said you came by." "You're opening a London office," Olivia said. "I am. And you're offering me a job." "I am." "Ethan, that's—" Olivia struggled for words. "That's insane. You can't restructure your entire company because I got a job offer." "I'm not," Ethan said firmly. "I'm making a smart business decision. Europe is a massive market we haven't tapped into. Opening a London office makes financial sense. It's been on our roadmap for 2 years. You just gave me the push to actually do it now instead of waiting." "And if we break up?" Olivia asked. "If this doesn't work and we're both in London making it awkward?" "Then we'll be adults about it," Ethan said. "London's a big city. We can handle it. But Olivia, I don't want to break up. I want to figure this out. And I realized I can't ask you to choose between your career and our relationship if I'm not willing to make the same sacrifices." "Moving your company to another country isn't a small sacrifice," Olivia pointed out. "Neither is the career you've built," Ethan countered. "You worked your ass off for this opportunity. You deserve to take it. I just want to make sure you're not losing me in the process. Because Olivia, I love you. I'm in love with you. And I know it's fast and we've only been together 3 months, but that doesn't make it less real. You're it for me." Olivia felt tears spill over. "You love me?" "I love you," Ethan confirmed. "I loved you at midnight on New Year's Eve when you kissed me like the world was ending. I loved you when you called me in a panic about your corrupted presentation. I loved you when you came clean to your friends about our fake relationship. I love how driven you are, how talented, how fierce. And I'm not letting you go without a fight." "This is crazy," Olivia whispered. "Maybe," Ethan agreed. "But so was agreeing to be your fake boyfriend. So was falling in love with you in 3 months. So is every good thing that's happened between us. Olivia, we started with a lie that became the truth. Maybe we can build something real from there." Olivia looked at this man who'd shown up in her life at exactly the right moment, who'd pretended to be her boyfriend and then became the real thing, who was now rearranging his life to give her everything she wanted. "I love you too," she said. "I've been so scared to say it because it felt like admitting I'd choose you over my career. But that's not what this is it? This is choosing both. This is believing I can have the career and the relationship without sacrificing either one." "Exactly," Ethan said, reaching across the table to take her hands. "So, what do you say? Want to move to London with your boyfriend? Build your dream career while we figure out this relationship thing?" "It's going to be hard," Olivia warned. "We're both workaholics. We're both driven. We're going to fight about priorities and time management and all the same things that broke your last relationship." "I know," Ethan said. "But this time, I'm going in with my eyes open. This time, I'm choosing to make you a priority. And if I slip up, when I slip up, I need you to call me on it. I need you to hold me accountable." "I can do that," Olivia said. "If you do the same for me, when I'm working too much, when I'm not being present, tell me." "Deal," Ethan said. "So is that a yes? You'll take the job?" Olivia thought about it. She'd be giving up the original offer, the one where she'd built something entirely her own. But she'd be gaining something bigger, the chance to build a life with someone who understood her ambition because he shared it. "Yes," she said finally. "I'll take the job. But Ethan, we do this as equals. I'm not your employee who you're dating. I'm your director of marketing who you're in a relationship with. Those things stay separate." "Absolutely," Ethan agreed. "Professional at work, us outside of work. I wouldn't have it any other way." Olivia smiled through her tears. "Then I guess we're moving to London." "We're moving to London," Ethan confirmed, grinning. He came around the table and pulled her into his arms, kissing her in the middle of Café Lumière, while other patrons pretended not to watch. When they pulled apart, Olivia laughed. "We're that couple now, the ones making out in coffee shops." "I'm okay with that," Ethan said. "After spending 3 months pretending, I'm ready to be obnoxiously publicly in love with you." "Obnoxiously?" Olivia raised an eyebrow. "I'm going to hold your hand constantly," Ethan warned, "and probably Instagram photos of us being disgustingly happy. My board of directors is going to be very confused." "Good," Olivia said. "Let them be confused. Let everyone be confused. We'll know the truth." "Which is?" "That sometimes the craziest risks lead to the best outcomes," Olivia said. "That fake relationships can become real ones. That love and ambition aren't mutually exclusive. that we can have everything if we're brave enough to reach for it. I like that truth, Ethan said softly. Can I add one more? What's that? That you're the best thing that's ever happened to me, Ethan said, and I'm going to spend every day proving that you made the right choice. You already have, Olivia whispered, pulling him down for another kiss. Around them, the cafe continued its normal rhythm. People ordered coffee, worked on laptops, met friends. But for Olivia and Ethan, time stopped. The world narrowed to just them, two people who'd met in desperation and found love in the most unexpected way, who'd started with a lie and built something true, who'd chosen each other again and again, even when it was hard, and who were about to start a new chapter in London, together, building the life they both wanted. It wasn't the story Olivia had planned when she'd panicked about New Year's Eve 3 months ago. It was so much better. The New Year's Eve party was being held at their London flat, a spacious place in Kensington with room for both of them to work from home and a view of the park. Olivia stood in the kitchen, arranging champagne glasses, while Ethan handled the playlist. Their friends were arriving any minute. Jessica and her new husband, Sarah and Mark, Amanda and Chris, plus Marcus and several colleagues from Cross Ventures and Olivia's new team. You're sure about this? Ethan asked, coming up behind her and wrapping his arms around her waist. Having everyone here, no pressure? No pressure, Olivia confirmed, leaning back against him. Just friends celebrating how far we've all come. It had been a remarkable year. The London office of Cross Ventures was thriving. Olivia's marketing campaigns had attracted major clients and positioned them as a serious player in the European market. Her team respected her, her ideas were being implemented, and she'd proven she could build something meaningful while maintaining a relationship. And the relationship, that had been the biggest surprise. It hadn't been easy. They'd fought about work-life balance, about time management, about making each other a priority. But they'd also learned to communicate, to compromise, to show up for each other, even when it was inconvenient. Ethan had kept his promise. He'd made Olivia a priority without sacrificing his company. He'd learned to be present, to listen, to turn off his work brain when they were together. And Olivia had learned to accept help, to lean on someone, to believe that being loved didn't diminish her independence. They'd grown together, built something real from the fake foundation they'd started with. I have something for you, Ethan said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Olivia turned to face him, her heart racing. Ethan, it's not what you think, he said quickly, though he was smiling. Open it. Inside the box was a key. A key? Olivia asked, confused. To the cabin in Vermont, Ethan explained. I bought it. Figured we could use a place to escape to when London gets overwhelming. Just us, no work, no distractions. What do you say? Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. You bought our cabin? I bought our cabin, Ethan confirmed, because it's where I knew for sure I wanted to spend my life with you. Seemed worth memorializing. You're ridiculous, Olivia said, laughing through tears. And romantic, and perfect. Not perfect, Ethan corrected, but trying, for you, always for you. The doorbell rang, announcing the arrival of their guests, and the evening blurred into celebration. Friends catching up, stories being shared, laughter filling the flat. At 11:58, everyone gathered with champagne glasses, ready to count down to midnight. Feels familiar, Ethan murmured to Olivia as they stood together overlooking their friends. Very, Olivia agreed. Except this time, it's real. It was always real, Ethan said. From the moment you agreed to let a stranger be your fake boyfriend. That was real bravery, real trust. We just needed time to build on it. The countdown started. 10, 9, 8. Any New Year's resolutions? Olivia asked. Just one, Ethan said. Keep showing up for you, every day, no matter what. 7, 6, 5. Mine too, Olivia whispered. Keep building this life with you. Keep choosing both, the career and the love. Keep believing I can have everything. 4, 3, 2. You can, Ethan said. We can. 1. Happy New Year! Ethan kissed Olivia as fireworks exploded over London, as their friends cheered, as a new year began full of possibility. And Olivia thought about the desperate woman who'd stood in the rain a year ago, terrified of being alone, making up lies to avoid judgment. that woman had been brave enough to take a crazy risk with. A stranger, and that risk had led her here, to London, to a dream career, to love that was real and lasting and built on honesty instead of performance. "Happy New Year, Ethan," Olivia said when they finally pulled apart. "Happy New Year, Olivia," Ethan replied. "Here's to new beginnings." "Here's to choosing everything," Olivia added, "and having the courage to reach for it." They kissed again, and around them the party continued, but they were in their own world, two people who'd found each other at exactly the right time, even though it had felt like exactly the wrong time. Two people who'd learned that sometimes the best stories start with lies that become truth, that sometimes strangers become soulmates, that sometimes, against all odds, you really can have it all, if you're brave enough to fight for it.